Okay, guys, welcome to UGC, the United Gaming Council. My name's Anlashok,
And I'm Denton.
and we're going to be your hosts for this evening.
We're going to be talking about a few things tonight. We're going to be talking from an empire perspective tonight, so don't take it too hard if you're a republic or something like that. We're going to be talking about Korriban, we're going to be talking about Hutta, Ord Mandel, and we're also going to
I think we're actually going to cover Ord Mantell. We'll cover Tython and everything else a bit later. I think we should just stick to the Empire side of things for tonight because there's a lot to go over in those first few levels.
That's very true, so let's go with that.
So it's not just Denson and myself. There are other people here with us. Let's sort of go down the list, and our recording program does actually list us in alphabetical order, so be prepared. So let's start with Alandro. How you doing?
Hello.
What is up, dude?
Yo.
Not a whole lot, actually. It's kind of dark.
All right, so give us a little bit of your history in gaming. Keep it short and all that nonsense.
Yeah, I've been playing games since, 10 years ago, I would say, and my favorite game would be Star Wars Galaxies because I had just way too much fun with bioengineering.
Wow, okay. Well,
Must
that's
suck to
pretty
be you right now, huh?
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so you've been gaming for about 10 years. Let's see who's next, see if we
Well,
can top that.
he hasn't played any games for 10 years, has he?
Does Galaxies count as a game? I'm not sure. Because I thought it was a way of life, personally. Alright, so let's move on. Blaine, you there?
I'm here.
Are we missing Alu?
Maybe.
We'll come back to Alu. We can't talk about
Okay.
Alu because all the fangirls will start squealing because he sounds too much like TLO.
That's true. So let's start with Blaine then. Okay, Blaine, go ahead.
Hey, I'm Blaine. I've been playing games since forever. Yeah, life is pretty much gaming for me. And my favourite game of all time is the Knights of the Old Republic series.
Right. So do you actually have any work or school like something like that, or is your life gaming?
No, college and such, of course.
Right. Okay. So
And
I
that's
guess-
English college, not American college, right?
English college, the only real college, even though.
like
yeah.
Hogwarts.
Excellent.
All right. So we're moving down the list. We're going to Kashara. Kashara, go ahead, mate.
Hey, evening guys.
What is up, dude?
What's up?
I am Kashara, and I've been gaming since middle school probably. I had a lot of fun with Guild Wars. If I had to pick a favorite, that would be on the top of my list. I spent many years in Guild Wars, did a little bit in WoW, and here I am in the Old Republic.
All right.
And what class are you playing, out of interest?
I've always played a tank class. I was a tank back in WoW, and right now I'm playing a Sith Juggernaut as a full tank.
All right. So there was a little
Sweet.
bit of a pop there, but we'll deal with it, right?
That's just Kashara's mic being crap.
Yeah. All right. Let's move further down the list. We got Sunkissed or
Was
something
it?
like that. Yeah. What's up with that name, man? Wherever did you get that
It came from.
Please
my-
don't sue us.
from?
Yes, makers of Sunkiss, don't sue us because I love you.
Okay.
It started.
So is
when-
that your favorite drink of all time?
Yeah, I'm actually drinking it right now. Well, not.
Do you know that I can you believe that I actually have no clue what Sunkissed is?
It's orange soda.
Just orange soda. That's it.
They might have other things other than just orange
Slightly
soda, but yeah.
caffeinated orange soda.
So it's
Right.
basically tango with caffeine inside.
Mm-hmm.
Sounds
I see.
lovely.
Okay. So what's your gaming history, mate?
I started gaming when I was about 4 with the Game Boy, the original black and white, big blocky thing. And favorite game now probably is just Minecraft because you can build, which I love to do, and you can, have fun with other people. Good community.
Right. Okay. That's pretty. That's a very clear answer right there. Minecraft. Man, I don't know. It's all fun and games, but I don't
It's
know.
all fun and games till someone steals my diamond block. Let's be
Exactly.
It's really a game for builders.
Yes, that's true. It's Lego for men.
Exactly,
Lego
it's Lego for grown-ups.
for men. Yes. All right. So Terranian Wolf, what's up?
Not much. Yeah, I'm training Wolf, or as these guys will call me, Wolf or Wolfie. And yeah.
Sounds about correct. Okay. So do you have any history in gaming or?
Yes, I do. I've played WoW ever since it, like a few days after it came out, and stuck with it. But currently, favorite games, Minecraft and Terraria. Kind of similar to Sunkist, building, all that kind of stuff.
Except, unlike you, I never played WoW.
That
That's kind of why you're here.
So can you
Yay.
believe that? Can you actually believe? I mean, just look. Just imagine this. There's like a den of wolves, and there's a computer right there, and Wolf is sitting right behind it. That must have been what happened when World of Warcraft came out.
It's true. It's true.
yeah, and I'm still the youngest of everybody. So
Well, there you go. Look at that.
Yep.
Little pup. We got a little pup.
So now we move on to our resident troll.
Yes, Valek.
Valek.
Oh
dear Lord.
god.
You can't pass the ball.
All right. Well, hey guys, I'm Valak. It's great to be here. I think we're all gonna have a lot of fun with this podcast.
I hope so as well. I hope so as well. So, what's your gaming history, mate?
My gaming history goes back to before there were actually consoles. I managed to be the lucky owner of one of those nice big stand-up arcade machines.
Oh wow. Okay.
Donkey Kong Jr. and Popeye, no less.
Holy shit.
Oh,
So
I
are
remember playing Popeye for hours in the arcade, man.
Good
So
times,
were you
that.
like were you like the guy that was featured that had the Donkey Kong record, or?
If I say yes, there might be a lawsuit, so we'll go with no.
All right, so that's not it then. Okay, so we kind of skipped you before, Alu. I'm sorry, man. So what's
No
up, dude?
problem. Nothing much.
Nothing much.
So,
that's-
what is your gaming history? Alan?
I played games since I'm 4 years old. 4 or 3, can't remember. First gaming console I ever had was an NES, and I've kept playing ever since.
So you're a big Nintendo fan, aren't you?
Back then, yes.
Oh, back then. Okay, good, good. So, Anna, how about you introduce yourself, mate?
Hey, yeah. These guys are gonna call me Anla. My full name on the game is Anla Shock. Those sci-fi fans out there should recognize it. If you don't, bad sci-fi fan, go watch Babylon 5. I'm playing an Imperial Agent as my main. And my favorite game of all time is probably the Monkey Island series.
Ooh, good series.
Wow. Okay then. So I guess I'll
I'm going to
introduce
call him
myself now.
Shock.
I'm
Because
going to introduce
Anla's a
myself
little,
now,
like,
and Son always does this. It's his trademark. Just talking to one another. Don't worry, mate.
Sorry.
Don't worry. I'm just messing with you. Okay, so I'm Denson. I am playing a Sith Marauder, something, and
Make Marauders, dude.
Forgive him.
More
he's a
Marauders.
foreigner.
forgive me, I'm from the Netherlands. So yeah, my gaming history. Wow, it all started back in the days. I was about 4 years old, and my father had like this really old computer, like the one of those DOS computers. And I remember playing like a little a labyrinth game, and it was so much fun. And I can't right now I can't believe how I ever got addicted to it, but back in the days it was always like, Daddy, can I play on the computer? Can I play on the computer? And that was actually my first game ever, and since then I've been hooked. My it's all my my dad's fault.
DOS computer,
Yep. it
Oregon
was-
Trail.
Yeah,
I've
I have
never
one of
played
those.
that.
Do you remember? Do you remember like the Commodore 64 and the?
Yeah, I never
Oh,
had
yes.
I never
Yeah.
had the honor of owning those.
That's where
I
it's
had
at,
no
man.
clue.
I had to sit there for like half an hour while my tape loaded and flip it over.
I
And let
didn't
it
even know what
load
RAM
on
was
the other
until about,
side.
like 3 years ago.
Do you remember the sound that early modems used to make?
Oh yes. Horrible.
That was the sound of a computer tape loading. So like you'd want to load up like Dizzy, which is like one of the best games of all time, platformer. You load it in there and you walk away for half an hour to make a cup of tea and a sandwich, and there's like going on in the background, and your parents look at you like they're gonna rip out your guts.
How's it that
And just
one of
think
the
of all
hosts is
the
going off track?
crazy. squealing and complaining we hear about nowadays from people having a few minutes loading time.
I know, right?
Yeah, people
There are
disconnecting. Like that.
Does it not make you sad that there are people alive now that never heard a 28K modem?
It's
I
I just
wonder
wish I
how
was
many-
one of those people.
there's back in the days it was like, okay, you had like either a phone connection, either you were available or you were on the internet. That's it.
Yep.
Yeah.
And I remember
And
so
the
many
very,
call
very
waiting.
fancy people, had 2 lines. You had
Yes.
one for your internet, one for your phone.
I was one of them.
And the poor
You son
people
of a
like
bitch.
me and the most of us out there, we had call waiting, which would kick your ass offline every time someone called you.
I remember that very well.
Well, I remember like
It
it
was
was
awful.
like, okay, you had to call people previously before that, like, okay, I'm gonna be on the internet for a while, so don't call because I can't receive your calls. And it was so weird.
It was back in the day when it took you like 20 minutes to just log on to check your email.
Yes. Oh man.
Email.
Email back in the days.
You've got
email?
mail.
We didn't use email.
You've
we
got
used-
mail.
Hey,
Oh my
hey,
god,
hey.
those words haunted my life.
Sopa, be prepared for it. We can't make references
Oh
like that.
yeah.
Oh, so
And how is
fucking-
it that the hosts are making this go off track?
We're not.
Yeah,
We're
that-
doing general introduction.
For about
Soap-
10 minutes.
Soap can go fuck itself.
That's
Oh,
exactly
wow,
what I was
be
gonna say.
careful. We don't want to get sued here.
Yeah.
All right. So since one of our members is complaining, I'm guessing you'd be Bolivia. We're gonna try and wrangle this back on topic. This is kind of a general gaming thing that we're going to be going for in the long term, but the big thing in all of our gaming lives right now is the Old Republic. So expect a lot of coverage of that over the next X amount of, well, till we're bored of it, really.
Oh yes.
So that could be quite a while.
If it wasn't for that bloody game, we wouldn't even be here all at once and we
That's
wouldn't
true.
be talking to one another.
Oh yes.
Yep. So, I'm going to precursor this. There are going to be spoilers for whatever planet we're talking about or whatever flashpoint or instance we're talking about. We can't thoroughly discuss these subjects without dropping bombs, okay? So, prepare yourselves.
If you can't
people
handle
out
it,
there listening.
You got the time right now, we warned you.
Okay, so we're warning you ahead. The second thing is we're passionate individuals. So we're going to try and watch the language and keep it down, but the occasional F-bomb might slip through, especially when talking about SOPA.
Mm-hmm.
Or if
when I
Blaine
speak
just
in general.
opens his mouth.
Yeah,
Um,
we're going.
So let's kind of... we've all had experiences on Korriban and Hutter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yes.
pretty much.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
More on Korriban
so-
than on Hut, but still.
What I'm thinking is we should go class by class that plays on each of those, and then come back and do like a general overview. Okay?
I agree.
Sounds good.
Yeah.
Every class has got a different. They have a different
Story.
path to follow on each planet. So the planets.
Yep.
I mean,
Exactly.
you won't do everything available on that planet. I mean, the planet might seem a bit different for each class. Is story.
Yeah, even
I mean,
the first
yeah,
planet
exactly.
is dual layered. You're not going to get the same conversation options going through with one character as you will the other.
Correct.
So
Yeah, and when listening to this podcast, you're also going to hear some class spoilers too. So that's another thing you should watch
Like
out
I
for.
said, spoilers are going to be abound.
But because this is only Korriban for now, spoilers
This
should
is
be
the
only
first,
gonna be
bear in
Warrior
mind, this
and
is
Inquisitor.
like the first 10 levels of the
Yeah,
game.
something like
So
that.
this is
10,
stuff
11.
you're going to cover in the first like 3 hours of play.
And from someone who's already reached 50, yes, I have. That makes me sad.
Show
I
off.
know, but really, the first 10 levels of story is nothing because there is so much story in this game that it is like reading a book for each class.
Okay, now that Blaine's put his E-peen away,
Yes.
Exactly.
and don't worry, casuals, we are plotting his demise.
yes, it's true.
Yeah, the plot mine too.
There's
We
people
do
who
all
can't
play
remember
Empire, and it's the
this.
way of the Sith. So yeah, let's start with Sith Warrior. Okay, the Sith Warrior is the sort of origin class of the Marauder and the Juggernaut, which is
That's
where
right.
which we'll come to later, because that all kicks off at like level 10.
Yeah.
So let's talk a little bit about. Let's get the guys who are playing warriors in the group to talk about the warrior story. I know Keshara, you're playing a warrior. Denson, you're playing a warrior. Who else is playing a warrior?
Right here.
Duh.
Alu and
The guy who
Tyranny.
tanks and everything.
So we got 4 people. 4 people.
Yeah.
Okay, so you guys just kind of start talking about that, and the rest of us can chime in if we've got any questions or our own observations or whatever.
Well, okay, then I want to start with one thing then. Korriban is amazing, and it's super, like,
It is.
sandy. It is sandy. There's
It's
so
sandy,
much
it's
sand.
red,
Winston's
there's
brother.
prisoners everywhere. It's insane. It's awesome.
Yeah, but it looks really cool.
It does.
See,
Korriban-
see that? Oh my god! The when you first come out of that shuttle in the opening
Yeah.
thing, and you just see those huge monolithic statues lined up for
Yeah.
miles into the horizon. Oh my
And bear in
God.
mind, according to the story, pretty much what ends up happening is you're there just because you're just some special little guy that is chosen out of like what 100, 200,000 maybe people, just to get this like chance to be a warrior for the Sith Empire.
The warrior story is like, I could be wrong here, but it's you are, other than the other guys, you are more powerful in some way.
But you have more
And this
talent
one-
for the Force.
Yeah.
Yeah, you
And-
stood out among the other
Yeah, you're like-
Padawans. Well, not
You're like the
Padawans, but
special
apprentices.
person in that big group of people.
Yeah, but don't forget,
So,
you know, I mean,
this
it's
is-
like your only chance. I mean, if it doesn't work
Yeah.
out, you're gone.
If you screw up, you're dead right there on the spot, and so is the person that that summoned you there. That
So
thinks you're
that
awesome.
the person that summoned you there did he like specifically pick you, or did you
Yeah, he's
test into
pretty much
it, or
he pretty much was just like I've been watching you. You have amazing powers in the Force. I want to train you, but there's also a thing where he wants to keep you secret from the Darth Lord, just so your training can go much faster, so you can beat this other Sith who might actually turn the power for the worst.
You initially start out as sort of the opposing warrior to
The underdog.
the Darth Lord that Wolf just mentioned, and he wants to keep you a secret so that he can train you faster and better, so you can take down that Darth's apprentice
Yeah.
and eventually the Darth himself. That's sort of what
I mean,
entails.
You say he's the apprentice, but I played the first. I finished the Sith Warrior story on Korriban and reached Drummond Cass, and what I found of it was that there was it was more that there was one acolyte there who was quite powerful
Yeah.
and was seen as the big, the guy.
Yeah, he was seen as the guy that can mainly, if he becomes a Darth's apprentice, he has a ton of power, supposedly more power than the character you play, and if he becomes a Darth's apprentice, then he will use that power in such a way where the Empire will hate it.
see
And,
that's that? But when I was playing it, that's not what I got. What I got was this person that you are there to oppose is weak of Sith blood and blah blah blah, and the person
Exactly.
that
Yeah, that's
promotes
also
you,
that's also
and the
part.
person that promotes you doesn't like that idea. He likes the idea of keeping the Sith pure.
I mean, he's powerful in the Force, but he's not of the correct blood and family and bloodline to be able. And this overseer that has brought you here especially to try and defeat him and eventually get the rank of apprentice to Darth Barris is that he wants. You are a pure-blooded Sith who is, you are the embodiment of what a Sith should be. You're from all the right family and such. So he wants you to carry on with leading down this line of Sith is more of a. They want it to be more of a bloodline than a ideal.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
In
like
the in
Go
the
ahead.
long run, it comes down to either you leave or this other apprentice leaves. And as your character,
And
obviously,
with
you'll be
leave
the one
means
that
dies.
leaves.
Like
yeah,
leaving a
even means
boss.
dying, by the way. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's very interesting that they tie that into the main thing, because something that is very prevalent on Korriban as a whole is this idea of Sith purity. It's something we'll come back to later, but there are generic planet quests, and one of those is very much about testing the academy, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
like there's
like
one
to
part
see-
where
Yeah.
it tests your decision making when they make you like interrogate some prisoners.
Oh yes, wow! I almost forgot about that. That's a big part. Holy shit!
Yeah, I remember because you get to shock some people. So
I
that
mean,
was pretty fun.
And that
Or kill 'em.
quest is actually quite interesting and important to the idea of what the Empire is, because it shows that this if you just go in there and kill everybody, you are
Yeah,
told
that's what I
you're doing
did.
it wrong. So it shows that the Empire isn't just
not-
murderers.
Not completely wrong. It's one person. You can kill one and two.
There's
You
one
can
that
go
you're
to
allowed.
be
There's
alive.
there's one you're supposed to allow to survive, and you're supposed to kill the other two.
And then
Oh.
you're supposed to let one live, kill one, and
Keep on prison, right?
torture the other one.
Well-
When I did it was done by one is allowed to live to work for the Empire in intelligence. The other one was responsible for millions of Sith deaths by messing up, so he's supposed to be just killed. And the third one is given honorable
chance,
combat
yeah.
or imprisonment, depending if you want to go light or dark. Because he's a Republic. He's got affiliation with the Republic, and releasing him would allow him to tell them what they've seen of the Korriban Academy.
Don't you just love it how this one of the guys that weren't playing a Sith warrior just now completely took over the entire conversation.
It may be
I
that
did
some
play
of
it,
us have done
a bit.
have done our research.
Yeah, no, of course.
I tried to do a tank, but I just couldn't handle it. I failed.
Well, tanking is a very, it's very
Yeah, there was too much for me to focus on. I
Exactly.
just couldn't keep up. I'm slow.
which is also a reason why I wouldn't probably never ever tank. I'm just horrible at it. Same for him. But
Yeah, because
Okay,
Benson,
so-
you chose the second path of the warrior, the Marauder, isn't that right?
Yes. Yeah, that's correct. Yep. The DPS.
All right,
But
so
anyway.
let's keep this focused a little bit more on the story of the first 10 levels. So you are summoned to Korriban by this overseer, and you go through, is it like 3 trials, I think?
yeah,
You
you're assigned
get
to-
your
assigned
advanced
to a
testing
Sith Lord.
blade or something. You know how
You
it's
get to
called?
go. Well, first, I'm going to speak about this when we get to talk about Korriban in general. But so remind me to talk about the tombs if I don't remember.
Right.
But you get to go get your testing blade. You have to do the prisoners, and then you have to kill this beast, right?
That is correct.
Now, it is revealed to you after you kill the beast that you aren't doing things in the standard way. The Darth that is searching for a new apprentice, Darth Barris, reveals to you that apprentices should spend the first month learning the Sith code and its application in war. He reveals to you that you're supposed to go off planet to hunt the beasts and things like this. And it's at that point you really start to see that you are being singled out for
Yes,
this.
absolutely true. Mhm.
Yeah, am I getting that right?
Yeah.
Now let me just interject here. Are you being singled out for success at this point?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
your particular master wants you to be the best and to purify the Sith bloodline through your story. And to do that, he's decided to very, very rapidly speed up your training by not having you meditate for a month and going off planet. He wants you
Well-
to do it all on planet.
Well,
Well, the reason I asked that is it ties in again later toward what will be talked about again, but I wanted to make it specifically clear for everyone listening that you were being singled out to succeed, to progress more rapidly.
Yeah, well, that's true. But you know what the thing is? I mean, you're being summoned by someone behind someone's back. So you're being summoned behind Darth Barris's back, and at first he doesn't even know about you, and he only learns about you until very, very, very late.
Until you kill this beast in the tomb of Malakath.
Yeah, so
You're,
it's like,
you're trying to gain his attention. Is that what I'm hearing?
well, at first you don't even want to gain his attention because you want to train and you want to be prepared for it. So when at some point you suddenly do get the attention from him, you're not exactly prepared for it.
Not exactly welcomed either. He was not
No, exactly.
expecting you.
And he's just kind of a kind of an asshole to you at first.
Bad guy in the tin can.
So yeah, and of
Yeah.
course, I mean, what happens after that is like you have to of course, well, you're being ordered to kill your former master slash friend or your trainer. Let's put it like that, because it's not exactly a master. And well, even though it's like the Sith way, you can still see that the character itself actually has, or well, since you're actually bound to the trainer yourself, you feel like a little bit like I'm not sure if I should
Freedom.
do this. Yeah. So
Yeah, Darth Barris, he sees your potential and he wants you for himself, so he wants to eliminate your former master. But the character itself has some hesitations about that. You can see that in the dialogue when you come up to that.
yes, definitely.
But there's
And
also an option where you have enjoyment in killing him, which is where I had because I thought he was too soft.
That's a true Sith Lord right there, speaking right there.
It's
One
it's
thing
one
I
of the
will
first
say about
options you have.
Barris.
Oh, all at once.
Sorry, go ahead, Cash.
It's one of the first options you have for a truly difficult moral choice for your storyline. You've had a couple before this, but this is the guy that's had your training for 8 or 9 levels now.
Yeah, what I think that Bioware has really gotten like well, and that's probably partly because of their experiences with Mass Effect and such, and even the older KOTOR games, is that they really know how to like let you feel like you're actually that person that you're playing, and you're so bound to him that you're starting to feel his emotions, and that you're starting to like, okay, if you have to make a decision, you really have to make a tough decision.
Yeah, I mean, they do a very good job of getting you emotionally invested in your characters.
Exactly, that's what I meant. So,
Yeah, very high levels of immersion.
And one of the things that I think helps that, and it's something that I wanted to mention here specifically, because it is a highlight of Korriban, is the voice acting of Darth Barris. Like the way he looks on the tin can on his face, or whatever, but the vocal quality to the way he delivers his lines in that very crisp, precise manner is amazing.
I mean, you make a really good point with that, because Darth Barris he comes across as this character. I mean, the voice in this game for a character is everything. Well, I mean, second, I mean, it's even. I think it's even in front of appearance, because when you've got like a voice like Darth Barris, you can tell he's quite sinister. I mean, he's not someone you would trust. From what I've gathered.
He's a character that is behind a mask. So from the very beginning, you don't see the person behind the mask. You only hear the voice. So you're supposed to sort of perceive that you don't really know what's going on in the deepest parts of that character.
And I would like to point out, too, that this is something that you're not familiar with from any other MMOs. You don't go into an MMO and walk up to a character and talk to them and suddenly have a feeling about the character based on the sound of their voice, the tones, the way they speak to you.
Exactly, Bioware did an absolutely pristine job of on just picking out all of those voice actors and just like really have them actually get into character and just bind them to that character, and it's so, oh man, it's just amazing. You hear
Yeah, you're going to hear people say the obvious things about like how many people can Jennifer Hale actually voice act in my game. But at the same time, it's such a breath of amazing fresh air to actually be able to go into the Sith Academy and walk up to Darth Barris. And if you were to look at him on the screen and him not to have a voice, he is a very portly fellow. So in your head, you're going to be going, is this Santa Claus I'm talking to here? Like, is he like, I'm
Darth
Maul.
He's way too ugly to be Santa.
But once you add the voice to the image, it makes the whole thing change. And we were spending quite a bit of time talking about this, but it is very important for who Darth Barris is.
oh, definitely.
He's this sinister Machiavellian schemer who just exudes, I could break you in half by blinking.
that's exactly what they're trying to get across here. You've got this powerful guy who all of a sudden has decided that, you know, one minute he's the guy that you're trying to not be noticed by until you're strong enough to take on the other apprentice, and then all of a sudden you're just thrown into the, you know, the spotlight of him, and you start taking orders from him, and you've got this incredibly cruel character all of a sudden turning you on the man who gave you this opportunity in the first place.
Okay, so I'm not sure if it's actually being heard in the recording, but there are actually people talking in the chat right now, and if you did hear it, sorry for that, but if not, well, then just disregard this.
Well, you'll find out when you go back to review it, and you can cut this little section out. So
Maybe I can, but we'll see. I'd rather have it raw. Anyway, let's go on.
So I mean, so the idea is that so all of a sudden you've got this character who instantly you know is going to be someone who's important in the story of the Sith warrior, and is you just know that he's an evil, cruel Sith, and when he starts to turn you on people who have helped you, you begin to think, hang on a minute, so I'm being used here to all of a sudden get rid of all these enemies that he has, that gave me this chance to become a Sith.
Yeah, you're sort of his personal slave. Even though he doesn't quite give you that, he doesn't say it out loud, but sort of you get the feeling that you are sort of being his slave at that exact moment. And for some reason, even though you do feel that, you are okay with it because in turn you will grow.
So let's move on a little in the story.
Yeah, but
we're focusing a lot on Darth Barris himself, and he is very pivotal to the story of the Sith warrior, but not as much as we're probably focusing on him for.
He is actually pretty
like-
heavy in the warrior.
in the entire story.
Well, no, I was going to
Sorry.
say that, but I was actually going to finish saying he's not as focused on Korriban. Like on Korriban,
yeah,
there's a
right.
bunch of other stuff to do. I mean, like we're going to come back to Darth Barris when we get onto like Dromund Kaas and
Level
and the rest
I
of the
think
planets.
40. 40 is pretty much the most important point.
Yeah.
Okay, Alu, but we're not talking about 14 right now, so
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're talking about the
So-
first
so
10
let's-
levels, bud.
So let's talk a little bit about the end of those first 10 levels for the warrior.
Can
Let's talk about something that
what about we talk about how you actually get your first lightsaber? I mean, come on,
Yeah.
that's
Yeah.
a huge
Oh,
part.
okay.
this is something that I was leading towards. After you've done all this stuff, you've made your light side or dark side choice when it comes to your former instructor. And there is an absolutely brilliant moment where when you take on the instructor, you get to either kill him or just chop off his hand, because Darth Barris has asked for his hand as proof. But his daughter comes up to me and goes, like, you killed my father.
Yes.
And gets in your face, basically. And it's a great moment where you can be like, he's not dead, or you can defend yourself to stay undercover or whatever. It's really, really good.
Or in my case, he would be dead, but still.
Yes,
Yeah.
yes, but
you'd be like, here's his ring, enjoy.
there are some fluffy light side people out there. And I'm not going to lie, one day I am going to play a light side Sith just to see what it's like.
No,
Just to
it's
see
not.
what the change of story is.
Yeah,
It would have to be great.
Absolutely, that's definitely true.
Yeah,
But
because
I've-
each decision you make, it's like if you're dark side, there's a specific story, and there's a light side, there's a specific story. The general premise of the story doesn't change, but the decisions you make can also alter the story in a variety of ways.
Yeah,
Okay.
let's not forget about the looks. I mean, come on, you got like this corruption going on if you actually turn it on.
Yeah.
So that's
Oh,
also.
It
really,
looks so
really-
stupid when you play a Sith as a raid and get like Dark
Yes.
4 or 5.
They're not going to be seeing corruption by level 10, guys.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's go to the final test. And the final test is you infiltrate this.
Ancient
You meet
sanctuary.
your first companion in Vet, right?
Can I talk
that's-
about
yeah.
actually how you get the lightsaber first?
Well, let's talk about Vet
Yeah.
for a minute, because you've met Vet before you get the lightsaber.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
true.
you just don't
I forgot.
know about like if she's gonna be a companion or not.
You kind of do, because
You
Yeah.
kind of do, but
Well,
like
no,
it's
if
kind of
you're,
obvious.
like, yeah, but like if you're not that into like this stuff or whatever, not paying attention, then you find out that oh wow,
Yeah.
she's
90% of the time, if a character joins you on a quest, it's going to become your character at some
Well, I have to
a
agree,
companion of yours at some point.
I really have to agree with Wolf here. I mean, no disrespect and such, but I really have to agree with Wolf here because it's like when she first joined, she's just like, okay, well, you know what? I've played other MMOs and such, and I've had companions before, and they were just there for like that single quest. But so that was my first impression of that. I was like, okay, well, she's just gonna help me, and we're gonna do a few quests, and that's it. And then we'll just say bye to each other, and she's gonna be a slave girl, and it will all be nice. I'll be one super powerful Sith, and I'll maybe.
You initially
Yeah.
meet Vet in that she's a prisoner who is forced to help you go investigate this temple, and it turns out the
Yeah.
temple is where your lightsaber actually is.
Yeah, but
Yeah, and-
what I'm trying to say is she joins you on this quest, and with the mechanics of the game, if someone joins you on a quest and you gain that pink bar where you can tell them what to do and what not to do, 99.9% of the time that person is going to become a companion of yours, because we've all run into that one escort quest where you go, I really wish I could tell that idiot what to do and not to run into that turret.
yeah.
So okay, she may not be a companion, but she is your guest at this point.
Yes.
So let's talk about Vet. What does Vet bring to the table? What kind of character is she? What kind of thing does she bring?
Starting
She
with
brings
mechanics.
tentacles to the games. She brings tentacles to the games. That's what it is.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much like if you're a warrior, that's your first instance of Twi'leks, because that's what race she is, like the big people with the two tentacles as their hair or whatever. And
They're
you pretty
called
much
Liku, and they are for balance.
And it's
Yeah,
scary
okay.
that you know that.
that.
yeah, it's well, she does like mention several times when you have her that she needs to get like Liku or whatever.
Yeah, eventually you're
touched
forced
up.
into asking, like, what in the world is a Leku?
Yeah. So there's that, but Vet, she's she like a
She's very cheeky.
smug-
She's very
Yeah,
she's
She's like
I keep
I don't know, and she's a
I don't know,
mercenary
like
on
that
operative.
naughty
I
Yeah,
don't
little girl
exactly
that
know.
lives down the street.
Yeah.
She's naughty and not in a perverse way, something like that, but just she's all
She's
little
mischievous.
cheeky girl.
yeah,
that
she's
does all-
mischievous but very
stuff that-
playful.
Nobody can't really determine if it's bad or right.
So she's a damage character, right?
User in your
Yeah,
channel
she's a
timed out.
DPS and
User en-
yeah, she's a DPS class, dual wield blasters, and
Okay, so
yeah.
my thingy just dropped for a little. Might have
Luckily,
to-
I'm recording.
Yeah, we might have to cut there a bit, but still, let's go.
I mean, well, going into Vet's, she's
Personality.
yeah. Talking about like the mechanics of Vet, and then game wise, she is basically, she's basically the smuggler of the companion that you're gonna have, and she's gonna be doing all the damage for you, which I think that the tank classes are gonna really benefit
Yes,
from.
she's awesome if you're playing tank.
Yeah, she actually can do quite a bit of damage.
Okay, so what role does she play in this final test?
She activates the
User in your
statue.
channel
These
started
secret
recording.
ruin statues that no one
Yeah.
else knows about.
Exactly.
She pretty much like when you first find her, she's like in a prison and stuff. I don't know if you guys already covered that when I was gone. Yeah, but when you find out that she was captured just because she was snooping around the secret ruins and she found every single switch, I guess, to make the passage open so you can get your lightsaber, which it leads into, if I'm correct. I believe I'm correct, right? Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think she
That's pretty
activates the combination that's
Yeah.
been lost for centuries or something.
Yeah, and you use her to open the switches to this chamber where when you enter the chamber, it's pretty much like your first quest with her is done, and then it's now your own personal quest to finish, which is, I think getting your lightsaber, your first official lightsaber.
Yes,
No.
I think so.
Okay, so you've got your lightsaber. How does Korriban conclude for the Sith Warrior?
Well, immediately after you get your lightsaber, I think it's immediately after you get your lightsaber, you get attacked, right?
By the old
By-
apprentice of
by-
Darth
By
Harris.
by the apprentice.
Oh, yes.
Because he believes he is stronger than you. He's been doing this much longer than you, and you've been only probably doing this for 2 hours, and he's, according to his story, been doing it for about a few years or so. So he's
It's actually previous to opening the chamber when he attacks you, because he thinks he can beat you to the lightsaber. So he wants to be the one that gets the ancient lightsaber. So you have to face him before Vet opens the chamber for you.
Yeah, it kind of makes it feel like it's your trial to getting your lightsaber, and then once you get your lightsaber, you're completely done. You're done with the acolyte, the apprentice, and you can now prove yourself to Darth Ferris.
Which, it kind of sucked when you got the saber, because you walk in with no challenge. You pick it up like, oh, here's a present. Whereas I think it could have been better if you had to fight, all
Fight
of
guardians like
the
you do
enemies
later
there
in the
and be
game.
like, here's your reward, or here's your, for completing the quest, you're granted, the right to own this saber. I could think that could have been better in the story about how you get your saber.
Yeah, it's a place where a story could be stronger to make the game exciting when you get your lightsaber, because not only do you have to kill or free the apprentice, but you can also do another challenge to also get your lightsaber, because that's like a pre-challenge sort of thing, and then when you get it, you're just like, sweet, I got it, but here's another challenge I have to do to officially get this lightsaber.
Yeah, exactly, Wolf. But it's like, it just screams like it's a trap thing instead of here's your reward.
Yeah.
It's a little lame.
Yeah, like when you first enter, you're just like, oh my gosh, something's gonna happen. I'm going to be screwed.
Yeah, you go in,
It's a
go
trap.
in, thinking that someone's gonna kill you.
Yeah.
Surprise.
Like you just like, okay, one trap done. Now where's this next trap? It's almost, and then like all of a sudden you just get your lightsaber, like Sunset.
But then
and
after
just
you
like,
get a saber, it's like, oh well, now someone's gonna attack me. It's kind of expected.
yeah, now someone's gonna attack me. And
Okay, so we've got to the end of the warrior plot.
Yeah, we shouldn't
As
forget
it
that
were.
there's also another class going on there.
So
Yeah.
let's switch over to the Inquisitor.
Oh,
Um,
this class is something special. I mean, I actually began leveling one. I've had one at level 25 in the beta, and the story for this class is incredible. I mean,
And
what I
I
heard.
personally want to
So
play later
I
on.
agree.
let's
Just
point out
completely.
that it's also the only class on the Empire that could be Twi'leks, right?
yes, it's the
That's
only
correct.
one. It's from my perspective, actually, it's like the only class that can be a Twi'lek that's actually not a slave.
yeah, if we go in,
But you start out
just-
as a-
It's
just
not a
go in-
slave. No, it is a slave, right?
Is it?
The
Well,
I don't know.
first 3 lines are slave.
well,
Yeah,
beginning
you
to-
start out as a slave.
Going
Oh.
into the beginning of the story, that you arrive on Korriban as you have been this force-sensitive slave who's been handpicked by Lord Vash to try and become her apprentice, and she wanted to be her apprentice, which you find out. It's like she decided that before even the trials begin that you're going to be her apprentice. So, but you've got
No,
this
I don't think she did.
and she does because you've got Fawn, who is the favourite of the Overseer. But when you finally bring back the map with Kemval, who is the companion you get, she says to him that did he think that he knew better than she for who she wanted as an apprentice.
So is it
Now,
kind
see,
of
I
like
don't
the?
believe that you started out in her favor. I think you became favored, as in later on you find out something that points toward my opinion, and I don't want to go into it because it's not covered within the first 10 levels. But as you progress through the story, I don't believe that you began as favored. And I also want to point out that your instructor, it's pretty much the complete opposite from the warrior side of
Yeah,
things.
that's what I was gonna
Yes.
say.
Yeah,
the
he
warrior
does
one,
not
it's
want you
like-
to succeed.
Yeah, the warrior one, it's like the overlord pick or the overseer, not overlord, overseer picks you, and he's trying to hide you from the Darth or the Lord. And the
Or
Inquisitor,
making sure you don't use it the wrong way.
yeah, or making sure you don't use it the wrong way. This one's kind of vice versa. From what I'm hearing, it's like the Lord picked you, the Darth or whatever picked you, but the Overseer really doesn't want you.
The Overseer hates you because you were a slave. You weren't like the warrior. You weren't
Oh.
of good blood and all that kind of stuff, of a high, noble, standing family. You
So it
were
wasn't pure
a
Sith
lowly
blood.
slave, and you
Yeah.
showed potential with the Force. You were put in for Sith training, and your story progresses from there as you pretty much get belittled, ridiculed, and threatened with death constantly.
Yeah, so Valak, that sounds more like you're saying that the Inquisitor is where it's more prevalent of the pure Sith, because it sounds like it starts right off the bat instead of being a little bit later on as the warrior.
It focuses heavily on, you have a rival initially there, Sunkist, that you are competing with. And you are both Sith. Well, I was Sith specifically, but being Sith, they specifically point out being a lowly slave and all that. And as you do some of the side quests in there, they will actually draw attention, if you're Sith, to your Sith blood. You have the bloodline. And they will point that out as you're going through the quest lines, and you come up from a slave. The person you're facing, your direct rival, the real competition, he's one of those from a strong family, strong blood, and all that kind of stuff, and he's the favorite
higher
throughout
up.
all this competition.
He's the rich kid.
Basically, yeah.
He's like the rich kid in the school that like everyone like looks up to him, but then there's also the other person, like the underdog sort of person, like that's who you always, as in the character in Korriban, like when you're playing the warrior, you're like the underdog. It seems like Inquisitor, you're the underdog also, and you're trying to match that.
So you're saying like, okay, well, you're the one that nobody really expects a lot of, but in the end,
Yeah.
I mean, you constantly prove that you are better than this
Yeah.
pure-blooded Sith.
And this is both seen in the Inquisitor storyline, I think, and also the warrior one.
Well-
I'm more surrounded with the warrior the one though, so.
Well,
Okay,
Blaine said
so-
right there, proving you're better. There's actually one quest as you're going through progressing that your instructor, because you beat this Fawn character, this rival of yours, basically tells you that you must have cheated and had help to do better, because all this time he's progressively trying to hamper you.
Hmm.
And I mean, and if you read the Codex, you begin to pick this up quite quickly that he's, he doesn't like aliens and he doesn't like slaves, and he thinks you begin to pick up the idea that he thinks he knows better than than Lord Dash, and I personally think that he's jealous of Lord Dash's position.
Which is hilarious
Yeah.
when it comes back to bite him in the ass.
Exactly. Yeah.
So, just to not dilute the Inquisitor conversation for a moment, but the way that Tor works is you have your class quest and you have the planet quests, right? And
Yeah,
there
the
was a
side
very
quest.
interesting planet quest speaking about Sith blood.
Several.
Which
Yeah,
is what I
it's-
was talking about
oh,
earlier. It's
yes,
where
yes.
The
there is a Sith in the
a
temple
lord.
that gets you to go and scan the instructors at the academy to test for the purity of the Force in their blood.
yeah, that's
So
actually
even
pretty
at,
Yeah.
even at that point, they're showing that the two Sith characters, when they start, are so strong in the Force that they may be recognized as stronger in the Force than the instructors at the academy.
In
I think that actually
specifically,
more implies more actually about the planet of Korriban being a Sith planet.
I mean,
specifically this.
Korriban is basically where the idea of Sith, really began to merge from. Because you've got these two. Well, I think in that said, the leader of the Jedi Council, he became the first Sith to begin with,
Yeah.
and these and I might not be, I'm not 100% on this lore, but from what I know, that these remaining of whatever remained of these Sith after there was like a massive war on Typhon, apparently from what we've picked up inside the Jedi Council storyline, which is for another day, but you begin to realize that these Sith have come to Korriban, and they've met these what are basically the ancestors of the pure blood Sith, the Redskin Sith, and these two, humans and pure blooded Sith, which were under a different name, began to intermingle and become one, and that's how you get today's playable race, which is the full-blooded Sith. And the idea that all of these Sith are beginning to die out, and you're beginning to get all these aliens coming in to become Sith, a lot of people don't like that, which is,
That's
understandable.
That's interesting because I kind of just grazed over that storyline. So that's a good point, Blaine.
Well,
As I was going to say in there, when Enla was talking about the quest, specifically he's talking about the thinning of the blood, the weakening of the blood, and all of that kind of stuff, which relates to what Blaine was just talking about. And he is absolutely opposed to it. And I can't remember, Blaine, maybe you can fill me in here, or any of the others who have good experience with the Inquisitor on that specific quest. What were some of the options in that quest for dialogue choices and responses given that you experienced going through it when it came to the weakening of the blood?
Well, one thing that you can say is that you can mention that you were once a slave, and the Lord will say that's disappointing and such, and that shows that, firstly, instantly he looks down on you just because you were a slave. There's no, he doesn't even care. You were a slave, so he automatically thinks that you were less than him. And as you begin to go through this quest, he begins to. Well, when you've finally done it, he says that he said that you're going to take this information to the Dark Council, and you get the option to say to him, "Look, you're wrong. Aliens are needed for the Sith, because if we're going to win this war, we need every ally we can get." And he basically just tries to slap you down and tell you that you're wrong.
Now, there's to pull it back to the Inquisitor, so that we can kind of get through the Inquisitor and then cover Korriban as a whole. You progress through the plot line and you meet up with this Fon guy. Do you end up defeating him?
You actually don't get to fight Fon. What happens is that you will get the map that Lord Dash wanted, which will finally, and whoever got the map got to be her apprentice.
There's parts that happen before this, though. Should we cover this before?
Yeah, we should. We should probably cover
because there's points that lead up before we ever get to the map stage.
Okay, go on, Alec.
Continue.
Okay, correct me if I'm wrong here, but before you ever get to the map stage, you have to unlock the Omnicron. What are an Omnicron?
Oh yeah, the holocron that has not been opened for like 1,000 years.
Omnicron.
Don't ask me.
Wasn't this a Transformer?
Apparently I am, but don't tell anyone.
That was Unicron, was the Transformer.
What's
Omnicron was their home planet. And back to SWTOR.
Yes. Cybertron was their home planet.
No.
This podcast sponsored by Transformers.
Shia LaBeouf sucks. Sorry.
Seriously,
Alright,
side note, Shia LaBeouf. How the fuck does Shia LaBeouf get to hang out with Indiana Jones and Optimus Prime? Back to
And
the
yet
plot.
managed to ruin both movie franchises. I'm sorry, he's awful.
Agreed. But so
Back to the
basically,
plot.
this holocron that you need to get has not been opened by any Sith, and they've all tried for like 1,000 years. And the idea that a simple, slave can walk in there and within seconds open it is quite
you open
astounding.
it.
Not just astounding, but it is flat out insulting to them.
Exactly, and you open it by doing something as simple as shooting lightning at it.
Oh, I thought you opened it by saying the Sith code.
No, that's something on Drummond Cast.
I think-
Cover it later.
I mean, Valak probably knows a bit more about it, for what goes on after that.
Well, it does progress into the whole map thing and all that kind of stuff, and you're basically in a race and a competition against this Fawn character, and you, as said before, Instructor is setting you up constantly to fail. He sends Fawn out early on missions and keeps you back. He'll give him information ahead of time. He'll release all the students to go do things and then make you stand behind it and make you go do something impossible, like the retrieving of the artifact there. Things that you absolutely should not be able to do. And then, as Blaine was talking about earlier, after the retrieval of the map and whatnot, and starting to talk about Darth Zash, that's when she comes to you with this information that she wants you to succeed. After you bring that map back, before you get back into your instructor, she pulls you aside and talks to you, and you begin to know that you have a little bit more backing than you thought you did.
So it seems like when you get that artifact or whatever, what ends up happening is it further cements your place among the Inquisitors and every other apprentice there. It makes you slowly become one of them, even though inside it doesn't seem like you are.
As I
Is that
understood
what
it,
is?
being further up in the quest line and whatnot, Zash wasn't sure about you. She wasn't willing to step up and, back you or anything like that from the beginning. As I say, getting further in, it seems like after you started doing these seemingly impossible tasks, she decided that you were the one that she had dreamt about, somewhat of a prophecy dream, that sort of thing, and that you were fulfilling these tasks in her dream. And that's kind of when she steps forward to back you, when you're showing that this is you, you have this power in you.
So it's like her visions are saying that you are the one that will be her apprentice or something, and that you doing these impossible tasks just further cements her visions and making them more true.
From what I could tell, it was that she saw an apprentice, and that you doing the impossible tasks proves that you're that apprentice.
Exactly.
Like earning your...
Alright.
Oh, I thought she was actually talking about like some sort of wet dream.
Like she just saw you walking
It
through
was
doing this.
Her dream,
I'll tell you right now,
like a
you
prophecy.
mentioned in the wet dream, the amount of people in guild chat that have been like, do I get to bang Zash? I don't know, man.
I can give you that spoiler right now if you want.
No,
You ain't
No.
gonna
keep
like
that
it.
to yourself.
So
Just
you know,
said you ain't like it.
I was wondering, because at some point in the story, you actually get to, like, for the first time, electrocute someone. How does that feel?
That was
How is
actually
that?
very similar to the Warrior line. You go in for an interrogation session, and you have a higher-ranking Sith there, and tells you that he wants information from this person. And being the diabolic Sith that I am, I get to express how joyful and fun this is going to be, shocking the hell out of this poor person strapped to a table.
He's strapped to the table, can't do a thing about it, and you just electrocute him? That's
Pretty
there's
much,
some
yeah.
nice
Multiple
defense
times.
there, boy.
I was going to say, that's what some men pay for on a Friday night, isn't it?
Okay.
Well, he didn't ask for the ball gag and leather mask, but I had him on hand.
Okay, so let's round out the Inquisitor quickly. Where you have the quest into the tomb for warriors, what is the conclusion of the Inquisitor story?
Well, shouldn't we also
Well,
talk about
first,
the companion?
is the companion any different?
You
on
won't
the
get your
Inquisitor?
companion as an Inquisitor until you're almost done with your first planet. She
Okay.
doesn't make an appearance like Vet does. You don't get, your original companion's going to be Kimval. And
Right.
he's a tank type, but you won't see him until almost the very end.
So he's after
All
the
right.
saber.
Or
So,
the-
there was one last thing that I actually wanted to say about about the warrior phase. So I'm actually interrupting the entire Inquisitor phase. Sorry about that. But there was at some point was a very important part where you actually had to get some sort of machine in order to get like information out of a Republic spire or something like that. And
Isn't that like
That's on
Drawing
Card.
oh, it was it?
No,
Ah,
there
okay.
is a machine on Korra.
There is a
and it's
machine,
one
but it's like
crazy,
a separate
crappy quest.
Yeah, it's
Oh,
a separate quest. It's not like part of the entire story. It's like a side planet quest.
Right. So
And it's
I'm
hard.
I'm
It
too
is.
far ahead again, as always.
Yeah, back to the Inquisitor stuff, Alec.
Back to Inquisitors.
What was the question at the moment?
We were talking
the
about how
conclusion.
Kimval shows up.
Yeah, how can Vol in the conclusion?
As a matter of fact, my memory is failing me here at the moment. I cannot remember if you get Kimval after or before the lightsabers. Someone else chime in. I know we have more Inquisitor players from back in the beta. And
You
whatnot.
get
Well-
involved before the lightsaber.
Well, I mean,
What-
Kemval is. I mean, the question is, how does Kemval, come into the picture? Yeah.
Yeah, he's in the tomb, and you have to fight him because you are told that you will need the Deshard, which is the race apparently, of Kimval, because you're told you'll need him to get to this thing that you're sent after. So you have to free him. You fight him. You beat him down, and he then starts following you apparently. Right?
Now, for
Well,
lore
you fight
junkies,
him.
does anyone want to explain what a Deshad is?
Isn't it a big genetically engineered monstrosity that looks like it's been punched in the face far too many times?
It's basically a heavily force-resistant, if I'm not
Being?
mistaken, genetically engineered monster.
They also, a lot of the Shard, or Kenval at least, came from some sort of shadow assassins a long time ago in the time of Tulak Horde. And one thing that a quality that the Shard have is they eat Force users, literally devour them. And Ken will constantly tell you about the two battles where him and Tulak Horde apparently completely and utterly destroyed an army of Jedi.
Which his whining about Tulak Horde does get old, but don't worry, people. Stick with him. Great companion, and he will shut up. I promise.
Isn't he like the emo nice guy? Like he's like emo 1 second and then he's like,
Oh
my
no,
God,
he
this
is
amazing."
evil. I want to kill everyone. You will be... Okay, spoiler for down the road off the planet. You will walk into a district with people that are standing around doing nothing, and he'll tell you, basically, this is a slum. No one will notice if I eat a few of these people.
Wow, okay.
They
So
won't
he never-
notice.
He is not a
But-
nice person at all.
But it goes with the Inquisitor thing about sounding like you need to earn your right there, is you also need to earn his respect by being more
Yeah.
powerful.
So
He
we've
is definitely
grabbed.
along those lines.
So we've grabbed Kenval at this point. We've beaten him into submission. What is it with the Inquisitor just sounding like a dominatrix? You strap people to tables and shock them with electricity and beat people into submission. I don't know.
Honestly, the voice actors have a bit of a sassy tone to them too, so I don't know, man.
Okay, so we've beaten Kenval and he's agreed to follow us. What happens between that point and getting your lightsaber?
Well, getting your lightsaber then, it's basically, you get Kenval, then you go through this chamber, and you fight a Terran attack. I think that's what it's called. But basically, that's some sort of manifestation of the Force, of the dark side. Incredibly powerful. You can take on multiple Jedi and kill them. So you kill this monster, and then you take the map back to Lord Vash. And then Fon will be there and will be saying it's impossible, it couldn't be done. You'll walk in, and they'll say, "Hey, I have the map," and then Vash will walk in. But just before that happens, the Overseer will snatch the map from you and give it to Fon. And at that moment, Lord Vash will turn to Fon, and she does this really. This is one of the things I love about Lord Vash. She is a evil bitch, but she has a way of coming off as innocent and nice and cute.
So she has
She's an
like
a regular
amazing
woman.
manipulator.
Exactly, yeah, that's the exact thing. That's the right thing. She is a manipulator. And,
Isn't that every woman?
Oh, wow.
Oh,
wow.
That's
gonna
lost
go
every
off.
There's your
single-
viewers
fill bait for
already.
the day, people.
We just lost every single female listener.
The female demographic is gone, folks.
We didn't even get through
Sorry.
one episode.
Holy.
Blaine, why?
but basically, then Fon will say to her, yes, it was he will try to pretend that he took it, but then he will get scared and say no, he didn't. And then Lord Dash will kill Fon for lying to her.
Which will
And,
piss you off because you've wanted to kill him for the last 10 levels.
Yes, your glory has been stolen by a woman. Good job. And then you will go to her, and basically she gives you her old lightsaber. So you get her lightsaber she had as an apprentice.
So you get a hand down. So it's like, second hand.
And honestly, for the warrior, this is a huge moment when you get your lightsaber. When you go through your quest, you get your lightsaber.
Yeah.
For the Inquisitor, this is kind of like a glow stick. I hate
Actually,
to
it kinda sounds
trivialize
the
it,
same,
but
though.
really, it looks cool, it's fun to play with, but at that point you are thanking God because you finally get to become your real class.
And you actually fit in?
No, you're still the black sheep.
Okay. Well, there's a
I
lot
don't
of
think
black
that would
sheep,
ever
though.
change.
But it kind of sounds the same.
Oh,
as,
Anla is broken. Hang on, guys.
Yeah.
What's going
Well,
on?
while he's trying to fix it, how about, I think we've actually covered the Inquisitor now. What actually helps is why do you? Because at some point you're gonna leave the planet. So why? What happens? Why do you have to actually leave the planet?
With the Inquisitor, you, as we had already talked about there, you were gathering artifacts for your soon-to-be master, who is now your master, Darth Zash, and she has been busy doing her little evil, manipulative, scheming stuff off in the distance, and has decided that she wants these old artifacts recovered. You are her new apprentice. You are going to
so
go
you
and
get
get
sent
them.
to do the dirty work.
So
Yeah,
you're
basically a gopher.
You're a sex slave.
Yeah. Yeah, according
Yeah,
to
I'm
Valid,
gonna
be
let
sex
you
slave.
be the sex slave, and you can find out at the end of chapter
I'm-
1 as to
I'm-
why this was bad.
I'm gonna pass on that. Thank you very much.
Yeah, we're good.
So, well, we've pretty much covered those two classes right now. So, what do the players that were in Korriban actually think about the environment? I mean, when you looked up the sky, what do you think of those huge Star Destroyers just
cruisers.
floating around
The
there?
destroyers, the cruisers that are just flying there.
Well, it's
That's
phenomenal
pretty amazing.
because
Yeah,
when you
I mean, I was impressed because what they've managed to do is they've taken the idea
Hello?
of this being a. Oh, welcome back, Anla.
There you go, Anna.
Hello.
Right, so I was incredibly impressed with Korriban, the actual how it looks, because they've taken the idea of it being. Because I played the Knights of the Old Republic series, I'm sure many did, and it was this: you go there and it's this desolate ruin. It's been destroyed over and over and over again.
It's like the ruined planet.
Yeah, and what they've managed to do is they've managed to capture that idea of it being a ruin and dangerous, but incorporate the idea that it's settled by Sith, and they haven't turned it into a city, but they have turned it into somewhere where Sith train here, but it's still full of mystery.
So they also get the
Yeah.
protection of the Empire and such.
Yeah, because when you look up in the sky, you see like the destroyers, you see the cruiser sort of ships up there, and you feel pretty safe because that means it's a sense of security that these ships are actually protecting you. Maybe they are, maybe they aren't. You don't know it. I'm gonna guess they are. And you look up there, you oh my gosh, it looks so cool, and you also know that you're pretty safe from any Jedi.
Now, I don't know.
Okay.
They did a really good job with the storytelling there. As an Inquisitor going through all that, I didn't
As a warrior,
feel
too.
safe.
Well, as a warrior, you just sweet. As a warrior, you're not safe from the acolytes because you're like, oh my gosh, I just got out of training. I don't know half the stuff I'm doing. This guy's been doing it for a few years, and you don't feel that safe. But then further down the line, you're like, you know what? I'm getting more confident. I actually feel safe. Yeah, and Inquisitor, on the other hand, the way you put it, it's very interesting, but it still sounds like, oh my gosh, I'm going to die by 5 seconds by these 10 people right behind me.
Okay, so not to be the voice of dissension here, but there is something I don't like about Korriban.
And that is?
I don't like that they sent you into the same tombs as they did in the original KOTOR games. Because they send you into the Tomb of Tulak Horde, and I was sitting there thinking, hang on a minute, I was here in the original KOTOR game and it didn't look a thing like this.
Now look,
Where's the star map?
Well,
as a player, as someone that has never actually played KOTOR before,
Same here.
I can't actually agree with what you're saying, but then again, I haven't played those games. So for me, it was just a totally new experience, and I didn't have that feeling at all. So,
Yeah, but you have to understand that titling a game the Old Republic, they are setting it in that same universe. It would be like saying, creating a game, and let's say when they created WoW, they said, "Oh, we're gonna do Darnassus," which was in Warcraft 3.
Yeah.
But we're going to set it in a desert, and it's going to look completely different to
it's
what you already know.
lore change.
Well,
sort
let
of
me just
thing.
interrupt here for just a second, Anla. And what timeline was KOTOR set in as opposed to the Old Republic MMO?
Yeah, because
300 years in the past.
300
so
years.
300 years
difference.
difference took place.
So
I'm not saying it doesn't look the same. What I'm saying is I want to go, if this is the Tomb of Tulak Horde, which
then you
exists
should
for
see some
thousands of
similarities.
years, I should at least be able to see the area that I was before, or recognize a little bit of it or
I can
anything like
understand
that.
Yeah, like you want to see similarities of like the tomb that you knew, like when you're playing KOTOR, whatever you say it, because I've never played the game, and you're playing SWTOR, you're just like, okay, I remember this, this is a little different, but at least I know this is the same tomb. It's not something completely different. It's not something that they just came like right out of their mind. It's similar to the thing I know, so this actually is really cool.
I mean, I think some of that part is that the idea of Korriban is that you are walking where other Sith Lords have been. You're walking in their footsteps, and the idea that you can walk in the same area that you walked in a different game is the idea of, wow, I've been here before, and I'm doing what my other character has done, but through a different story, and you're going with the same power.
Especially considering that the Tomb of Tulak Horde especially was so pivotal in KOTOR. It had this artifact that you'd search through an entire planet to find in it. And that you go through these very specific trials in it. And you're told that they are trials that have been there for thousands of years. They wouldn't have suddenly changed in 300 years.
Yeah.
Well, now, question. Was it 300 years in the past for KOTOR? Or was it 300 years up? Okay,
Past.
Well, in those 300 years, we have had engineers, technicians, explorers, the reclamation service, and all that kind of stuff of the Empire in there. They may have completely dug out, changed, altered the structure of all of these different things. I'm not saying that I would like to see the similarities, but
what I'm saying is, if you're going to go with that, call it something else.
Yeah, because it's not the same thing.
If it's not the Tomb of Tulak Horde anymore.
Yeah, if it's been tampered with, it's not a tomb anymore.
Or what about earthquakes? It wasn't tampered.
No.
Earthquakes, that's natural.
Earthquakes.
No. You're getting away from the fundamental point. The fundamental point isn't that it's different. The fundamental point is that there is absolutely no reference point between the two. It's like I could call that tomb the Tomb of Tulak Horde to get all of the KOTOR fanboys to go, oh man, Tulak Horde, that was awesome. Or I could call it the Tomb of Darth Bob, and it would still be the same place. But the KOTOR fanboys wouldn't be disappointed when they walked in.
They would be like a completely new place.
They'd be like, cool, this is new to me. Not, man, I was expecting Tulak Horde. Damn.
How far did you get with your Inquisitor in the beta and all that there, Anla?
I got them off Drum Cast.
Okay. As you get further in the story, and you develop your relationship with Kim Vol and all that kind of stuff, you will get more on the topic of Tulak Horde a lot more. It'll be covered. It'll be fleshed out a lot.
Tulak Horde was just an example. All of the tombs they send you into on Korriban, you go into a tomb called that in the original Knights of the Old Republic game, and none of them look the same.
I think they might have done that just to appease people who like Star Wars, but were not totally into it, because to me it was just a tomb of some dead dude. You know, I mean, I like the Star Wars Star Wars.
We can't all be lore whores.
Yeah, and I think they just
there's a difference between being a lore whore and having played one of the games before. I'm sorry.
Well, no, I understand, and I mean, you're just talking in a continuity sense there, where
I played KOTOR, but I didn't care
because it was a place you were exploring, and it was a tomb of a dead guy. It looks pretty cool. I might not remember, like, I never played KOTOR, like I said, but, like, if I did, I'd probably be like, okay, I remember this tomb, but it might not be the same thing, but I'm still doing stuff in here. It's actually pretty cool, and I'm just gonna have fun with it.
I think they just named it for the people, like, they're just regulars, like, oh, cool, I get to visit this place, you know, just for that.
But what I'm saying is they could have come up with any other ancient Sith Lord and called it the same thing, and people still would have said it's awesome. Okay.
I guess
the point is for those of us that enjoyed the Tomb of Tulak Horde and recognize the name, because the only reason to reuse that name is for recognition, is to have something recalled in one's brain, and it was different. Okay. But I think we're kind of just blowing everything aside, so maybe we can sort of set this aside and come back to it maybe later in another show and let's do what I've personally been waiting for, which is Hutter.
Yes. Let's
Yes,
talk
the other
about
planet.
Hutter. Oh, God,
The other
white
planet.
meat.
It's the other. Sorry,
My
it's the other
favorite.
side of. There's Korriban 1 through 10, and there's Hutter 1 through 10, each consisting of 2 classes. Right.
Yep, that's correct.
All right. So I get to see the other side of the galaxy.
So on Hutter, you've got the Bounty Hunter, and you've got the Imperial Agent. And the Imperial Agent, me and Anla have both played, so expect us to go rant on about it. So make sure you shut us up. And has anyone here played the Bounty Hunter?
Yes, indeed, all the way to 50.
Oh, nice one. Good. So we've got someone who played the Hunter. So which one do you want to start with?
Let's go with Bounty Hunter first.
Alright then,
Yeah.
so I have not played that. The one class I haven't played is Bounty Hunter. So
You really should.
go for it, Alandra.
Yeah, I haven't
Alright.
either, so spoilers for me.
Too bad. You were warned.
Let's
yeah,
go,
you were
guys.
warned at the beginning of this, mister, so
Yeah.
be happy with it.
Oh.
Alright, but you start out, like everyone else, you come down in a shuttle. It's like, oh, shuttle, whatever. Then you go to a room and you meet 3 people who are going to be, for some time, going to help you with your goal on the planet. And your goal is to get into the Great Hunt, which is this massive bounty hunter hunt across the galaxy to see who's the best bounty hunter there. But in order to get in, you need to have the support of a big guy like a Hutt or a Lord or someone else. Doesn't matter who. You just need someone's support. Since you're on Hutta, basically the easiest one they can get for you is Nemro the Hutt, who's basically the big guy in the area. Like all Hutts, he's pretty untrustworthy, and you have to get a lot of respect to even talk to him. So basically, before you even talk to him, you are going to go and find some mean, tough bounty in the general area and take it down.
All right.
Now, after you're doing this, excuse me, some of your competition wanders by and pays your friends a visit,
And
and they die. Well, 2 of them die, and one's left.
so you just see them and they die.
So
Yeah,
this,
they just kind of die.
so the competition, who I think his name's Taro Blood. Is that right?
Yep.
Blood. Yep.
Yes.
He comes and kills the guy who brought you here. So once again, we're faced with this idea of the people who brought us here, who gave us this opportunity, have been killed.
Yeah, like they're being punished for bringing you here. Like
So
with the
that-
warrior, with the warrior, you have the overseer that gets punished. Inquisitor, there was whoever.
I don't think the Inquisitor was so much because
Yeah.
they didn't want you there in the first place.
Yeah, I think you just got punished for that one. And then for Bounty Hunter, it seems like, well, yeah, the person that brought you there is pretty much gone.
Right.
So-
Yes.
So what happens is you go off, you take down this guy called Dashing Vex, who, if you don't want to shoot this man in the face,
You
get
don't
the
have
hell
to.
out of my gene pool, because he is annoying. And you come back, you find these 2 people dead on the floor, and the 3rd member of your team, Mako, starts freaking out because these guys have been
They've been friends for years. And
yeah,
Mako,
and
the
he's
guy is
basically
your
like a
mentor.
father to her, right? Isn't it? Isn't
Yeah,
it like he's
That's essentially what's implied.
okay? So that happens, and she starts freaking out, as you would if you found out like one of your close friends has died. But you get in to see Nemro, who is just amazing. He is this big Hutt that has 2 different colored eyes, and it's just you like him, but you hate him all at once.
For a second there, I thought you were actually gonna say like this big heart, and then it sounded like you were actually really, really turned on by him. So.
Oh,
It just
absolutely, dude. Fat chicks do it for me.
Damn. Well, there you go, guys. Newsflash.
Just don't tell my wife.
All right. So what happens next? Because I've never been in a Hutter before, so you really.
Yeah.
Or, well, I have been in a Hutter, but
Actually-
it was severely over leveled because I had to go there for a class quest. But we'll go into that some other time.
Yeah. Actually, should we also talk about Mako right now? See, like, what's her story?
Yeah. What's her deal?
Yeah. Why
What's
is she
Mako?
there? Yeah.
Um,
Why is she part of this?
Mako is like super tech slicer person for your mentor. She is just amazing with the HoloNet slicing and whatnot, and she gets
But-
all the intel that they need.
You find out as you get off the planet and you get to talk to Mako for the first time, you find out that Mako was abandoned as a child, and she'd had the HoloNet thing implanted in her head, and that the HoloNet is incredibly rare. Like, it's a massive deal that she's got this thing implanted in her skull.
It's brand new tech. Actually, it's before new tech.
And then is slicing kind of like hacking? Because
Yeah, slicing
Yes.
is like hacking something
Okay.
just to get the information. It's pretty much the same thing.
Which, in my opinion, sounds absolutely strange. Because when I think about slicing something, I don't necessarily think about hacking into something. I think
Like a
about
lightsaber
hacking,
going
but
through
not
it.
something else. Yeah.
It's Star Wars terminology.
Yeah. So there was a bit of like, what slicing? What the hell was that? But at some point, you get used to it.
There's also a skill called slicing, so we'll get to that later
Yeah.
on.
We'll get to that
That's later.
Yeah, that's way later, so.
Right.
But
so,
continue on with like Mako. Like, what skills does she bring to the entire like table?
Mako is a very good support. She has reasonable heals, and she continues going on through the levels, and she gets some CC and crap.
She's effectively an operative who specializes in healing.
That's pretty cool. And she, from what I remember, she shoots a gun, right?
Blaster, just one. Well, actually,
Just one. Okay.
I might be
Um,
wrong. Yeah, she has
question?
one and a knife.
Why are we talking about what she can do?
That's a good
Does she
question.
become a companion?
Yes,
Yeah, does
actually.
she?
Yeah.
Yeah, because like from what you made it sound like, it made it seem like she would follow you after the whole incident. So that's
And
kind of what I
how's the
asked.
story of how you get her?
Yeah, continue the story about how you get her.
Give me a moment.
Okay, so since Alandra's out of action, I'll take over. Since I just got a bounty hunter to 20. She starts looking into more behind the scenes things. She's off burying the two people that have died, and she hollow calls you later to say that she's being followed by this bone skull-faced guy. Those are her exact words.
Bone skull-faced guy?
Bone skull-faced guy.
Okay.
I'll
A
explain that.
tribal-looking guy with
I'll
a
explain
white
it in a
mask.
minute. I'll explain it in a minute because it's kind of a mystery that weaves throughout the first couple of levels.
Right,
So, so you're like, did he hassle you? Was he part of Taro's team? What was going on? So you're trying to figure out who this guy is and what he is more than anything. And at the same time, you're doing jobs for Nemro. He sends you after this guy called Hutsbane, which is an Evokai. Those of you that know anything about Hutter, it used to be the planet Evoka. Is it Evoka?
I believe so.
Yeah.
But that was an evil guy. I mean, that
I
sounds...
thought it was
The
Evosi.
Evokai is a natural. The Evokai is the natural.
Evo Car
The Evo. The
was the original name
Evokai.
of the planet.
The Evokai are the indigenous species that the Hutt basically oppress. They basically pulled out that they bought the planet off of the Evokai for about like 46 cents.
Wow, that is horrible.
And they basically use them as a workforce and all this other stuff.
So it's kind of like...
So pretty much
Indians.
Let's go to
We're
Hutter. We'll
slaves.
pay 47 cents.
So your first mission as a bounty hunter is to hunt down this guy called Hutsbane, who is like their leader of these rebel Evokai that are trying to strike back against the Hutts. And when you eventually find him, you have the choice to do as Nemro says, which is to come back and put Hutsbane's head on the floor of his palace, or you get to take the chance that Nemro doesn't know one Evokai from another, and to kill a random Evokai and to put its head on the floor, leaving Hutsbane alive. And that's your light side, dark side choice. And then after you've done that, you get what is, in my opinion, one of the funniest. It's a quest, at least one of the funniest cutscenes I've seen yet in the game.
What where you start counting?
No.
Oh.
You have to go to another area on Hutta, and you have to take this guy's head and show it to his wife.
That
my
was
God.
hilarious.
Wow. Okay.
Okay, and
so
you
you just
walk
take
up to her. You walk up to her and go, "Hey, look what I found!" And it's her husband's head, and she just starts screaming. And one
Wow.
of the
Yeah, 'cause, she was like, "Oh, hi," kind of weird.
yeah, and one of the dialogue options is, "Can't we just talk about this?" And basically, she starts running off. She starts running off, and you just calling after her. Where are you going? We can't talk about this. It's just, it just made me die.
Well, why have to show her husband's head? Is it just
Because that's
like,
what Nemro says to do.
Oh, so it's just like, well, sorry I killed him, but here's his head. At least that'll make up for it, right? She just screams him
The
at the
whole
door.
point is you're trying to scare her off the planet.
Oh.
You're trying to
I
put
wouldn't
the
think
fear
that
of
would be
God.
the way to
Don't
do
come
it.
away.
And what's the exact role of Nemro? I'm not sure if it was mentioned.
Nemro is a crime boss who is the head of the most powerful family in Jaguna, and is at war with this other hut called Fathra, who is trying to muscle in on the city of Jaguna.
And
basically.
why is he important to you?
Because he
gives
can
you permission
sponsor
for the.
you into the Great Hunt.
Okay.
So what you're trying to do is win his favor so that he gives you his sponsorship into the Great Hunt. And I think Arlandra is back with us now, right?
Yes, indeed.
So do you want to take over from here?
Well, I believe we're sitting on the going to get your permission, are we not?
We've just returned the guy's head to his wife. So you have the moment with the Beastmaster.
Right. Dang, I have names. I need them. Nimro. Nimro does not trust his Beastmaster. So so he gives you a bounty to go kill his Beastmaster. So you go down to the Beastmaster little area.
Did Optimus Prime just log into the channel?
Yeah, I think.
I believe so.
Yeah,
actually.
I know we were talking about the Omnicron earlier, man. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to stick it in your chest.
Yeah, you were a tiny bit robotic on us there.
Yeah, to be
Arlandra.
honest, he's working at the McDonald's and his computer's on the other side of the order box. So
You got me.
Yeah.
We're actually including him in this conversation by going to a drive-through and talking to him while he's on his shift right now.
yeah, there's
Yeah.
there's an entire traffic jam right behind us. You know, that everybody wants to get burgers, but no can.
But talking about the Old Republic is obviously more important than feeding people cocaine-filled burgers.
Exactly.
Obviously.
That gained you like 2 pounds eating it.
Yeah, supersize me and all that crap.
Anyway, back to SWTOR.
Yes, back to the bounty hunter.
Yes.
You sure you stopped there, Tom?
Okay, I have a question for you bounty hunters, because I haven't gotten far in the plot line, and
Okay.
when I got to the point of killing the Evokai Hutsbane,
Mhm.
I was confronted with oh hell, what's the little girl's name? Your
Little
friend.
girl?
Mako.
Mako, thank you. Yeah,
okay.
Mako confronts you after you do it. She gives you a holo call, and she informs you that strange-looking person with the white skull mask thing had been following her around.
Yes.
I said the exact choice I chose was, I will put them on my to-kill list. And I ended
Yes.
the dialogue basically abruptly right there. Does anyone have the options, like the responses you get from the other ones? Because I was interested in that, but didn't have a chance to do them.
It pretty much ends the same way, but it's not. It just goes to, oh, we'll just keep an eye on him, or the other one is like, that's interesting. Thanks for letting me know. I'll keep an eye on him.
Oh, okay. I was
Which is
hoping
what
I
it-
could get more information out of that, and I just kind of screwed it up. But
No, you
I'm guessing it's
you
okay.
kind of got to the right point.
It's supposed to be vague at that point.
Yes, very much.
Okay, good.
Because you don't know who the guy is yet, which is revealed to you at the end of Hutter.
Right, so
Which we'll get to later.
Yes.
we had a lot of information about the bounty hunter right now. Is there anything else that's like very important? Because at some point you're gonna leave the planet. After all, you know, it's all about the planets and such and the zones.
Well, the most important thing about the bounty hunter is that you're trying to get into the Great Hunt.
What else is the Great Hunt? Explain
User
it to me.
left
Because
The
I-
Great Hunt is an event held by the Mandalorians
Right.
that is basically the greatest bounty hunters in the galaxy, hunting bounties and each other until there is one person left standing. And whoever
User
wins
left your
basically gets fame, fortune, and a pair of Nikes named after them, effectively.
They get all this fame and fortune.
Yeah, they get the best. They get the best bounties in the galaxy. There's a lot of mystery to it because everyone says, "Oh, I've heard about these Great Hunt winners, and they're always going to fame and fortune," but they're not around anymore because they're obviously just living back in the high life, and they don't actually have to hunt much because they can charge so much for their services. So
Do
it's
you
like
actually get to participate in the Great Hunt?
absolutely you do.
Don't say like what you do in there or whatever.
No,
like,
I
your
won't say what
mystery?
you do, but basically the whole of the first 2 planets for you is getting into the Great Hunt, and then I think the rest of Act 1 is the Great Hunt.
I mean, like, do you get to be in the Great Hunt while you're still on Hutta?
No, because the end of Hutter is basically you earning your right to go to the Great Hunt. The whole of your whole of the Hutter storyline is you earning Nemro's approval to get his sponsorship.
So
Basically.
the big plot line of that one is, I accept you, or like.
Let me finish. Let me finish
Yes,
the plot because there is a twist on the first planet that was literally about to be discussed. So again, spoiler alert: if you've made it this far without spoilers, you're
Kudos to
weird.
you.
Good job.
Yeah, good job. Good job. Basically, Nemro tells you that he thinks his Beastmaster has betrayed him and sends you down into the Beast Pits to carry out that bounty. But when you walk into the Beast Pits, it's a trap set for you by Nemro, who
So
has
trying to kill you.
who is trying to kill you because he wants to give his sponsorship to a different bounty hunter and has given his sponsorship to another bounty hunter. So the idea is to kill you off in the slave pit so that you don't get in the beast pit so you don't get pissed about it. So you kill all these beasts and then you go and confront Nemro and you're like, give me my sponsorship or I'm going to kill you. And he's like, you can't do that because I've already given it to somebody else and you have to then go off and hunt that person down to take the sponsorship from them. It's really,
Amazing.
yeah, it's brilliant. It's a great little moment. And after you hunt that person down, I'm not going to spoil what is surrounding it. But once you've hunted that person down, you have to go back to Nemro's palace and be like, look, I hunted this guy down. I have the sponsorship. And it is at that point where everything seems to sort of what's the word I'm looking for?
Snowball.
Connect.
Become clear.
Like
Right,
everything just is suddenly the story makes a ton of sense and you get what's happening around you.
Yes. Does anybody have any questions of anything up to this point?
I still don't think we've touched on like how Mako officially joins you. Like
Yeah.
while we do
Okay,
like while this
basically
is
what
all
happens is
going
before you go off to hunt down this other bounty hunter, Mako comes up to you and is like, look, Braden never trusted me to go out and fight will you trust me to do that? Because I think I can be good for you as a support, basically. And there's a great moment where if you just go yes straight off the bat, she goes, but I'm so ready for this, and I can do this. Wait, did you just say yes?
I remember this part. I actually done this.
So she's like unsure what she's pretty sure that like you're gonna say no to her, and she's just like ready to beg, and all of a sudden you say yes. She's like, wait, what?
Yeah, she's literally about to like launch into this like full scale like, but I can do this and blah blah blah, and you're just like, if you just say yes right off the bat, she's just completely not expecting it.
Wait, was that the whole
She
thing? Like
probably
she
had a
just
speech
suddenly
prepared.
joined you, like for no reason? What was that?
Well, no, because she's been working with you since the beginning,
Right.
but because of because
Yeah, I think there's
her...
this one part of the story that we kind of just like skipped over, because
Well, no,
I just
because
heard, like, she's
I've said it
prepared.
like 2 or 3 times now that her friends were killed. She's been looking up information for you, and it just reaches this one point where you need to go get this one guy, and she's like, "Okay, it's time to take me with you. I'm not putting up with this anymore."
So you're just returning it. They're dead, and she's left alone.
Yeah, that happened like at level like 3.
Got it.
You're
So
like level 10 at
I
this
was like,
point.
I was missing that one key point that tied it together. Like you said,
It-
the other part.
No, we mentioned that they were dead like twice earlier.
Yeah, but I didn't really know who was dead though.
Oh, okay. So her friends are dead, basically, and she ends up joining up with you to take down this one guy.
Gotcha.
So you go into Fathra's palace, you kill this bounty hunter, you take his thing, you go back, and the bone-faced guy, that she mentioned earlier, is there talking to Nemro. And it turns out he's a representative of the Great Hunt. Right. And the reason he was following Mako is to try and catch Taro Blood attacking her.
Haha, wow, okay. That's a plot twist.
Wow.
And the reason why he's described as like the bone-faced guy is he's the same race as General Grievous. So he's got that. I don't know the exact name of the race. I've been trying to look it up while we've been talking, but he's that same kind of like masked race, but he's that race, and it turns out that he's the representative of the Great Hunt, and because Taro Blood is effectively cheating by killing people and buying people out, they're trying to catch him in the act, which is why he was following Mako. So it's a cool little revelation, even within those first 10 levels. It's this great little level. You're just like, wow, no other game would have done that. It's just a fun little moment.
What's this guy's name again, so I can quickly look him up? See.
I can't remember.
A Kalish, that's what it is. That's what General Grievous is.
The thing that interests me is, how do you go from the Great Hunt to being thrown into Drummond Cass with the Empire?
Because the guy at the end of the planet is like, you need to go to the Mandalorian Enclave on Drummond Cass to take your place in the Great Hunt. And to explain more about that would take forever, because there's a whole nother planet. Which we'll cover another time.
Exactly. So to be honest, I think we should actually move on to the last different class, because we're gonna run kind of short in time here.
Yeah, we need to move on to the Imperial Agent, because oh my god,
the last class.
The agent. Oh god.
The last class of the Empire, the Agent.
The Imperial Agent is my main class.
Same here.
Mine too, but I'm kind of strange about it, because I just have like a general mindset that I'm just, a work for hire for the Empire. But I'm feeling like, because I feel like I'm missing like on like a main story plot, because I feel like I'm just going from person to person, working for a new person each time.
Well, there's a little bit of that, but that's basically what Imperial Intelligence is. For those of you who don't know what Imperial Agent is you're basically James Bond. You are literally a secret agent. The entire plot of Hutter is you going undercover as this pirate, infiltrating Nemro's palace, gaining his favor in order to side him with the Empire so that the Empire can start to take over Hutta.
Okay.
I mean, the story of this class is that once you get to the core of what it is, I mean, I just feel it's a bit. I mean, you find out what you've got to do, and there isn't that many plot twists in the story of the Hutta. I mean, you've got your goal, and you
You
go
can
and do
create a
that.
plot twist. That's fun.
I mean,
I
it's
gotta
like-
interject one thing before you get too far in there, Blaine. I love the fact, and I have almost zero experience with an agent here. I love the fact that when you get off the shuttle and start walking through the shuttle port, you see people coming toward you, and you simply just slip off to the side and turn away and be as discreet as possible. It just kind of gives you that whole, yeah, I'm incognito feel.
Yep. The moment I was sold on the Imperial Agent is in that very opening cutscene, because you step off the shuttle when you go into the cantina, and you sort of sequester yourself off in a room, and you hack the holo terminal. It's showing like a Twi'lek holo dancer, and you hack it, and it's now like a secure line to Drummond Cass. It's brilliant.
Wow.
It's
Yeah,
that
I
moment, I was
replayed
just
that
like,
cutscene
yeah.
a couple times. Yeah.
I was like, fuck yeah. That's proper James Bond shit right there.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say, yeah, so it actually is like you are James Bond, that's it.
So I mean, so what happened is that the idea is that you've got to play off you've got to get Nemro to join the Empire, and you begin to what you're going to do is you begin to play him off against Fafra, and to do this, what you do is there's parts in the story where you will make it look like Fafra is working with the Republic, and you do that by going inside. I mean, near the end, one example of this is that you run into Fafra's castle, for lack of a better word, and you begin to plant evidence that he's been working with the Republic. But before you even get into like Fafra's,
Yep.
you've got to gain his Nemro's trust, and you pretty much do this by acting like a bounty hunter would, and do that by doing lots of jobs for him.
There's a great moment in the opening cinematic where they're like, and remember, when you're in the palace, you're no longer an Imperial. Lose the accent. And whenever he's dealing with Nemro, and he has an American accent.
Americans don't have accents.
Okay,
Prove
back
it.
in the
No,
real
it is.
world,
It's just an American accent. That's
but it's brilliant. It's just that subtle little thing where they know they have these English accents. They're completely aware of it.
You see, I play a girl, and it didn't actually change much. Like, wow, voice crack. It didn't change much. Like the accent.
It
was
changes
pretty much the
enough
same
to
as when I
not
talked
be
to him.
noticeable as an Imperial. The best thing is you go into Nemro's palace, and you start to do the jobs for this guy, and you start to befriend him a little, and he starts talking about his sons and stuff. And there's a great little moment where you're talking to Keeper. Because, by the way, one thing you should know about Imperial Intelligence is to even further the James Bond thing, everybody has code names. Your boss is Keeper, your handlers are called Watchers. It's everything has a code name. It's secret agent stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you've got Keep, Fixers, Ciphers, and I think that's about it.
Watchers? Have you mentioned them?
Yeah, Watchers. But you have this conversation with Keeper, and Keeper's like, oh yeah, his sons crossed the Sith, one of them's dead and the other one's paralyzed. Now we need to use him as an example. And you end up going into Nemro's palace. The guy whose palace you're staying in. You go next door, you kill one of Nemro's lieutenants, and frame the Republic.
And
That's awesome.
And this is the whole idea of playing them off against each other. You make it look like the Republic is against Nemro, in order to make Nemro join the Empire and put all of his resources behind the Empire and give them a position in Hutt space.
One key thing about it, you were first made to try and get the guy to join the Empire and, quit from being under Nemro. But then when you hear about his sons, being injured, and now you have to, kill him or get rid of him and frame him, or frame that the Republic did it. He's like, Wait, what? You know, the surprise part was pretty funny, I found.
And you can actually like when they're like, you need to kill this guy. You're like, do I have to? That one of your options is to be like, is there no other way?
I mean, this
And I
guy's
chose
an
the one
alright
that's like-
guy. I mean, this guy is he's an alright guy, and
He really is.
he likes the Empire. He thinks the Empire is good.
And you also get a choice where you're like, yes, I love seeing blood, because it's just like, all right, I get to kill somebody. Woo!
So
Like
an
it's
Issa.
exactly the same as like what we talked about before. You really get to like the
You really
visual
get to be an
emotion.
evil bastard.
Yeah, with the
But the thing
emotions in
about the
characters is
agent,
amazing.
the thing about the agent above every other character I've played so far is he has that dry, quick wit. He really, it really is like listening to James Bond talk. He always has the witty one-liner or the.
We're not gonna get
it's
sued by
funny.
mentioning his name, right?
No, because he's technically a literary character that's been in the public domain for years. Um,
There you go, guys. Now you know something else. The more you know.
but it's the Hutter storyline for the agent. While not the best storyline, it perfectly sums up this infiltrate from within, take them apart, play them off against each other. This is like super secret agent stuff. Like you can almost hear Secret Agent Man playing in the background.
I was just gonna say.
Yeah, but there's also the option of just going in like a total badass and just killing everybody, which is pretty fun.
Now,
So-
like, I have a question about the agent, though. Like, with the other classes, you got Vet, Kimval, and Mako. I don't think we've addressed if there is a companion, if any,
Oh, right.
for this agent.
Kalia.
I was just
Cleo de Janis.
So what's the story with Cleo?
She
I mean-
starts as a worker for Nemro, but she also has like
User
suspicions
disconnected
about
from
you
your channel.
not really being with,
The side or something?
yeah, crap. She has suspicions that you actually are an agent and not who you say you are.
Yeah, I mean,
And
she's
she-
pretty much. Yeah, go on.
No, you go on because I can't really remember the initial reaction.
I mean, she
User joined
is
your channel.
basically Nemero's enforcer, and you go in there as this Red Blade. I think it is, yeah, Red Blade. I think, and she pretty much picks up on this like almost instantly that she thinks there's something fishy about you, because you're just a bit too perfect. And as you begin to go through this, and then there'll be points where you first get Cleo, beginning to work with you, because you will go and talk to Keeper through another horror terminal that you've hacked, and she will come into your room and she will like instantly say to you, "I'm sick of Nemro and I want to join Imperial Intelligence."
Well, I think she found out that you really
Well-
were when.
What actually happens is one of the times you go to your room to talk to Keeper on the Hollow Terminal, there are a bunch of people in your room trying to plant bugs,
Because the
and you
first
kill
time
and you kill
played
them.
that box.
And there's these two people in there. They're really kind of nice guys. They're really well characterized, and they have like 2 or 3 lines each. And they're trying to plant bugs, but you kill them. And the next time you go back, Cleo's there, and she's like, "Is the blood on the floor a decorative choice, or is it fresh?" And she's this. The thing you have to understand about Cleo is she's a bad girl. Okay. She loves her guns. She loves being sarcastic. She has no qualms about using sex to get ahead. She's very,
Wow.
very.
Whoa, okay.
She is my favorite companion to date.
Yeah,
I can tell why.
Because I can say the sarcastic thing and not lose approval. You
you
know
gain
what I mean?
most of the time.
Yeah. And it doesn't hurt that she's
what is
voiced
her-
by Catwoman.
Nice.
She's voiced by the person who plays Catwoman in Arkham City.
Sorry to interrupt, but I'm curious about what's her combat role because I
She's
saw
a
her
ranged
using.
tank.
Yeah,
basically
she's
a
tank, but
bounty
She's a ranged tank.
She's a
seen her
ranged tank
using
bounty hunter.
flamethrowers, but I also saw people giving her sniper rifles, and she used
She
ranged
can't use
blasters.
sniper rifles. She mainly uses blasters, but she has the ability to use blaster rifles, which is something that's really useful for the Imperial Agent right when you get off Hutter, because if you choose to be a sniper, you get a moddable sniper rifle, and you've just gotten a moddable blaster rifle at the end of Hutter. So right off the bat, if you're a sniper, she has a moddable weapon, which is why you see a lot of people having her run around with a rifle.
Actually, I disagree. Like, when I gave her, a good rifle, she did worse damage, and she died quicker, and I died because of it. I gave her back
but
the pistol,
the difference
and she
being,
jumped
she
in,
may have done
charged,
worse damage,
and-
but she always held better threat for me.
No,
Like-
she does better with the pistol for me, because whenever I gave her the blaster, even though I set her to do the jump, she never really did it, and we were kind of shared.
Well, that's because the jump has like a minute and a half cooldown, and you shouldn't be really using it as a ranged tank.
No, I
That's
mean,
one
like,
of her
she
DPS
never
abilities.
used it. Like, after...
What you need to be doing is control. This is something that I was going to come on to about Kaleo, is she's very much dependent on control. You are literally playing a hunter. You have to be able to control your companion really, really well. Like, you need to tell Kaleo what moves to use to initiate combat. She always has to start combat with like her charged shot or her grenade. If you're going up against a group, she needs that initial threat boost. Like, you will have no problem killing anything standing in front of her. You just need to keep it hitting her.
Especially when it involves melee, because as an Imperial Agent, your biggest weakness is a melee character, and if Khalil can't get control of that melee character, you're pretty much done for, unless you've got like debilitate and such.
Well, in a way, that goes for every ranged character, doesn't it?
Not really.
I mean,
That's bounty hunters.
So the Bounty Sorcerer is quite good actually when it comes to when a character comes up from a melee, they can last a long time because they've got a lot of ability. That they've got their instant shock and they've got their force lightning, which doesn't require a cast either.
Well, fortunately, the AI is kind of stupid. So even if like the melee isn't taken care of, which usually isn't, like I usually get her to take care of the ranged for the damage. I kind of just kite around the melee by
There's
using
something
my
wrong
leg
with
shot, which
your.
keeps them
There
in
must be
place.
something wrong because Kaleo has never had that problem for me.
Yeah,
Like,
same.
she is a she. I think she's a better tank than Kent Val.
Yeah, but by far, easy. I mean,
I'm not complaining. I'm just saying that's just how
Anyway,
it
back
happens for me,
to
and it
back
works for
to
me,
what we were talking about, the actual plot. The big thing comes for the agent at the end of Hutter, because as you're getting ready to get off of the planet, you get a call from your associate that's like, "Hey, the real Red Blade is coming to Hutter."
Yeah, he was a badass.
Wow.
So you're stood in the starport and you're like, "Really? Really?" And you have to then go and kill the real Red Blade. You walk up and he's like, "I'm the Red Blade," and you're like, "No, you're not. I am." And he's like, "No, you're not. I am." And you're like, "Prove it." And he's like, "Okay." And then you kill him. So you actually really do become the Red Blade at the end of the planet. It's a great little moment. But yeah, that's kind of the agent story. It's very much the James Bond, Bond story.
I will say this, that the Imperial Agent story kicks off when you got an Hadron Cars.
Yeah.
I mean, Hutter
Oh
is...
yeah.
I mean,
We'll get to
Hutter,
that though.
Hutter is like nothing compared to the Drummond Car story, Chapter 1. I mean,
And
that
don't
story
even-
will blow
yeah.
your mind.
And don't even get me started on the Balmora story. A lot of people I heard was like, "Oh, Balmora, boo." I loved it.
Well, should we
Being an
do a wrap-up?
Imperial agent made Balmora like 700 times better.
Well, even as a Sith warrior,
ch-
Balmora was pretty cool actually.
Spoilers.
Way ahead of where we
Wrong
should be,
planets.
But yeah,
Exactly.
so we've talked about the two classes. I mean, I could sit here and talk about the Imperial Agent for an entire bloody podcast. So let's talk about Hutter itself.
The
Let's
environment.
talk about Hutter. Yeah, the environment and
Hutter,
the fact that
it is
it's covered in
gorgeous.
chemicals and
I mean,
Don't they have
It's a swamp.
something like mudworks or something like that?
yeah.
I know what
Yeah, isn't-
I know what's supposed to be this like polluted place, and I mean they pulled it off really well. But for me, it just doesn't. It's not very easy on the eyes, is it? It's a bit.
It's
Well,
like
the thing is, it's
brown
kind of like
swampy, polluted.
It's like this yellowy, browny, gross.
Well,
And it's
yeah,
not that
because
good. And it's not that good yellowy orange like Deus Ex Human Revolution yellowy orange.
Yeah, that's pretty
It's
much
like
bad
this
one.
bile yellow, like.
It looks like a
bleh,
toxic septic cesspool.
which
But
is
they did
exactly
it
what it
great.
is. Yeah. Yeah.
because
They
it
did
turns
great.
out that like the planet was kind of turned into a swamp, and they capture the swampy style brilliant. It's got the little mucky lakes or ponds. It's got the creatures running around. It's got the vines and weird trees like kind of somewhat like getting old and not
Yeah.
healthy looking. It just the way the swamp.
There's also because you find out in one of the heroic quests you do that before the huts came, it was a very nice planet, but all of their industry have polluted the crap out of the entire planet. It's a really nice little. You're like, wow, the huts are dicks.
Coming back to Nemro the Hut, I'm kind of curious. Anyone knows why he has two different colored eyes?
That's
I
one
don't
thing
know
about
yet.
the huts that you'll notice. The huts, a lot of their expressions are done through their eyes. You'll see huts can have different eye colours. There's one hut on Nashidar, is it? You'll have the Scouter. Not even joking.
Yep.
Yeah.
And if you kill a hut, which you can, because there's lots of huts, their eyes the expression will be all the way through their eyes, because they are such a, the body, they're a bit pointless.
Yeah. And the interesting fact is, did you know huts are hermaphrodites?
So what now?
Huts are hermaphroditic.
Wow.
I know about nothing about huts.
Me either.
Yeah.
So the slay girls are just for show.
No, they're not asexual. They are hermaphroditic. There's a difference between the two, and I don't want to turn this into a biology cast or a fetish cast or whatever.
Wow.
Besides that, we have to
Leave that to Valak.
We have to cut this.
But yeah,
short anyway.
let's finish off Hutter. I think the main thing to think about, the one thing that you really do want to look at and spend some time looking at on Hutter is the Sky Dome. I mean, it is absolutely beautiful. The Sky Dome is absolutely beautiful.
You see, the only time I've actually been in Hassan was when it was way overpowered and over leveled. So the only thing I really cared about was like, okay, going to my class quest, completing that, and then, oh, by the way, spoiler for everyone, and then going back. Of course, at that time you don't really pay that much attention to your surroundings, which is a shame in my opinion, because from what I actually just heard, it's a really cool, place.
I would recommend, if you haven't done it, to spend some time and at least go back and run an agent or a bounty hunter one to the end of the planet.
I would
Just to
recommend
look
to
around.
anyone, just go back, start a character. It takes you maybe 3 hours of playtime, and get that initial story from every single planet, every single of the 4 classes. It is so
I'm gonna
worth
do
it.
that.
Because I spent my time doing that in beta, which is how I settled on the Imperial Agent. I got all my characters to the end of the second planet, and it really does help the overall interest of the game, because you will hear someone say something in your class line. You're like, oh, that references that.
Oh, what we didn't talk about. I don't know if you can say it's an Easter egg or something. In the Star Wars movies, Solo said, I don't know, this game C-3PO or R2-D2 plays with Wookiee, Chewie.
Yeah.
He says if Wookiees lose, they rip the enemy's
the
arms
arms out of the sockets.
Yeah,
That's the
and
one
then
thing.
in
When you go
amazing
into
there actually is one Wookiee
playing the protocol droid, and the protocol droid's arms are sitting on the table.
Oh wow! Really?
One's on the table and one's on a
Yeah.
bench off on the side. That was an amazing reference.
That's cool.
In fact,
But,
Nemro's palace. When you
I
go
gotta
into
point out.
the...
Hang on, Anla. I gotta point out, when you were talking about the references to other stories, one thing I have to point out is when you're doing the bounty hunter, the hated little asshole that is your mentor, your master as a Sith Inquisitor. When you're the bounty hunter, you do that quest to send that boy's, father to the grave and the boy off to the academy. You will actually get a mail from the Sith Inquisitor's master thanking you
Yeah.
for the new recruit.
Yeah.
Wow.
Those are the
That's
kind of
nice.
cross references you see.
And when you go to Nemro's Palace, go spend some time in the cantina in the palace and try and spot all the pop culture references. I've come up with like 4 so far.
That's badass. Okay, so guys, we went on for about 2 hours now talking about the first impressions and the first few levels of these wonderful classes in the game of SWTOR. But I think we should really cut this right here, right now. And
Yep.
Give some final
Yeah.
thoughts, maybe.
Okay, so since we're going to cut it there, I know Valak wanted to do something a little bit special at the end of this episode, so why don't you take it away, brother?
Well, as this was our first episode here and everyone was brand new to the brand new Star Wars The Old Republic MMO,
Emphasis on
thought-
brand new.
I had to throw it in there a few times, make it good and clear. I thought it'd be kind of cool to, since it is pretty much impossible to review a massively multiplayer online game, to get kind of a first impressions rating from the people you're talking to, or rather listening to here today, and kind of see where we would put the game on a scale of 1 to 10, basing it off of how easy it was to get into it and play, type familiarity with the UI and all that kind of stuff, control schemes, and the quality of the storytelling and the initial impressions, how the game, captured you. Did it do a really good job? Did it fail in some way? Give it a rating on 1 to 10, and we'll walk it down the list as we did with the introductions. So let's start with Alandra here. Hopefully your mic will hold out long enough, and we'll see what you have to say about this on a 1 to 10 there, bud.
All right. Well, I would say the Bounty Hunter, the immersiveness is like almost spot on. They did a very, very good job.
That was loud.
I'm sorry, Alandra. I had to really lower your voice down for quite a bit there. Could you please repeat that, because I'm pretty sure everybody will be
Yeah.
deaf by now.
Technical difficulties.
Yeah, there's some
Apologies. Is
Don't
it
worry.
still loud?
It's the first podcast. So there are some things that are bound to go wrong. So
I blame Wolfie.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
There we go.
Definitely
You're
his
not
fault.
getting
There
through
we
one
go.
podcast without getting blamed for something.
I know. Trust me, for everyone watching this, every podcast there's going to be a reference towards me in some way, whether it be blaming or just something random. Just you'll see.
I died
He
to
is
an
our
elevator
resident
again.
into the bus.
Wolfie's fault.
I'm apparently
Right.
the mascot, right?
Let's give this a
Okay.
try again here. Alandra, you want to give it another shot there?
Let's give it one more. If it's too loud, I'll stop.
Yeah, you're still like really, really loud, dude.
Yeah, sorry, bud.
Yeah.
You are absolutely broken. If you want to type it out there, we
Yeah.
will read out your response there at the end so that we can get your input on that one.
Yeah.
Yes.
All right, Alu, what about you? What do you have to say about it? Scale of 1 to 10.
what do we start with
Well,
again?
I definitely not going to give it a 10 because I will never give any game a maximum voting, because that would say it will never be a better game. The storytelling, it's 9.5, not a 10, but a 9.5.
Wow,
It's getting
okay.
close, because you're really getting like the story thrown in your face just because of all the voice acting. That you can choose all the different dialogue options. It's amazing. I I played WoW before, so it was pretty easy to me to get into the game controls. And what else was it? How I got to the game? It was kind of like I thought after World of Warcraft Cataclysm, I never touch an MMORPG again, and I think at the time that was Tor said, yeah, we are having a beta, and I was at the first day. I signed in for the beta testing, and 2 years later, I finally got my key. And I was like, yeah, okay, I try it out. And pretty much first 5 levels took me so hard, and I immediately pre-ordered the game. And
So you
I liked it.
basically fell in love with it right after you started
Yes.
playing it.
Indeed.
Excellent. Good to hear. Enla, what about you?
Okay, so graphically, there are a few things that they could change up. Story, I'm gonna give it a 9. Mainly because there are a bunch of. I know this is gonna sound really nitpicky. The game is great. The game is absolutely great, especially the way you get to choose and all that other stuff. But there are a few options that I would love to see that aren't there. There's the occasional thing where you're like, well, I see that option, I see that option, but I see option C. Why can't I choose that? So
I think that's something we need to devote an entire podcast to. Is that
Yes.
what you're talking about there?
Yeah.
I mean, just to give it ease of access, if you've ever played any other hotkey MMO, you're gravy. And my overall initial impression is this is the best game I've ever played.
Wow,
and I
that's
don't
pretty
mean
high praise.
And I don't
that's
mean
really
that
high.
insofar as it's perfect. I don't mean that insofar as it's a 10 out of 10. I don't mean that insofar as it does everything the best. But it gives me everything I'm looking for. I've been a Star Wars fan since I was young. Since I was very, very young. I love the immersive BioWare way of storytelling. It's in an ongoing, reactive, persistent environment of an MMO, and it's got amazing storytelling. And it's in a universe that I grew to love through games such as KOTOR. So this is the best game I've ever played. It gives me everything I wanted. Admittedly,
Very nice.
that sets me up to be the most disappointed person ever. But it's probably the best game I've ever played.
All right.
Well, there you
All
go.
right. Blaine,
Stay
what do
fast,
you
my
have to say
friends.
about it there? Same system, same setup. Scale of 1 to 10. Take it away.
Well, scale of 1 to 10, you can never actually, judge a game on a scale because there's so many different aspects in this game of what there is. But beginning with ease of access, how you can get in the game, it's got to be one of the easiest I've ever gotten into. Because you jump into the game, and usually in an MMO, an MMO will not succeed if you don't know anybody, because it's not much of a single player game. But they've managed to bring in what single player games gave you and put it into an MMO environment. So you've basically got a multiplayer game with single player RPG elements.
That is a very good point.
Wow, yes.
And that brings in, that brings everything that people have wanted. I mean, I can think of multiple people who've always thought, I wish this game was multiplayer. First, I mean, games like Skyrim, games like, Mass Effect, all these games. And in terms of, immersiveness, it's the number one game I've ever played for immersiveness, because there's other people there, and this game is big. This is probably the biggest game ever. I cannot think of it. I mean, I will go as far to say this is the biggest game ever made. Look, I can't even describe how much work they put into this.
Again, very high praise.
Yeah, I mean, praise, give it where it's due. So, I don't really use, I've never been a big fan of 1 out of 10 scores, but I'd have to give it a 9.5 in general, because this game has just brought something brand new, and it's raised the bar for MMOs. I mean, if someone brings out a new MMO and it does not have full voice acting and everything that this game has, it won't succeed, and it won't, it's not good enough.
Whoa, that's something very dangerous to say there. That's very, very dangerous, but
I'd agree with him.
Yeah.
I think pretty
Hey.
much everybody here knows.
He's completely entitled to his opinion, and that's what this is, folks that are listening. This is our impressions. That's what you are hearing here. None of this is set in stone, but I've got to agree with the guy as well. So, Denson, what is your take on this topic?
A very hard thing to actually, give a number to. I actually, up until now, I have to agree with everything that everybody has said. The amount of immersion that after you just get off that ship, you're immediately thrown into, characters, they really speak to you, they actually live, it feels like they actually are alive. And it also feels like, what I am absolutely amazed by in this game, is that it feels like the world actually does go on even after you've passed a certain point. get like messages at some point, like in your mailbox, and they just live. I mean, they thank you for stuff, and that's just absolutely amazing. So for immersion and stuff like that, I'm gonna have to give it very high up the scale there, like at least a 9.5. My initial impressions, or let's put it like this: the ease of access into this game. Being a seasoned MMO player, pressing buttons is pretty well easy. I mean, of course, everybody is used to that, and even though you have to actually learn what the new skills are, it really does feel like a genuine MMO. But as Blaine said, it also has a lot of single player characteristics to it. It is just absolutely phenomenal on that scale. What BioWare has done to this game is just simply amazing. So once there again, the ease of accessness, well, it's just, I'm gonna have to give that at least a 9. People that have never played MMOs before might be a little bit confused at the beginning, but they are very likely to very easily pick it up, especially because of the tutorials that they actually put in there for you to read.
And one thing I liked, you mentioned the tutorials there. They don't do the standard single-player RPG, go kill rats in a cellar, and they don't do the WoW classic style, go collect my wolf pelts.
Yeah.
They send you straight into the game, guns blazing, lightsabers, vibro swords flying, all that kind of stuff, and learn as you go and progressively ramp up the difficulty.
Yeah, and the tutorials are actually found on the side while you're doing the quest, because each quest is pretty different, and you learn what to do by the tutorials given with that quest. And even, like, I'm level 35, and I'm still getting, like, some tutorial stuff still, because there's, like, higher-end stuff that you still don't even know about when you're higher level that you still have to get tutorial about. Which we'll cover
so that was
later.
a good point. We never even covered anything about the tutorials and whatnot. It was good to bring that up, Denson. So, Kishara, are you with us, bud?
Absolutely, yeah.
All right, take it away, man. What are your opinions on this?
Yeah, you've been quiet ever since Warrior.
Yeah, sorry about that. Warrior was sort of my thing. It's really the only class I've played this entire game. Let's see, as far as immersion goes, I mean, this game brings it all. I used to play WoW, and you had a character, but you didn't feel like you were the character. You got on and you played your character. With this game, I feel like I want to know what's coming next. I want to know what my character will do, and knowing that I have the choice to decide what happens to him, how he does something, it's just huge. And I was doing a quest a couple days ago, and I picked, destroy this relic over keeping it to study. I got a mail from an NPC, a letter from an NPC that said, it's a good thing you destroyed this, otherwise somebody else might have found it. But what would have been the other option, if I had kept it, would I have learned another piece of lore that was separate? So just the fact that your choices really influence what you can find out, what you can discover, is huge.
It's like the game is always telling you to think about what the other option can be. Like, you choose one option, you need to think of what the other outcome could be. So
yeah,
indeed.
So,
and Cash there. So, what do you think about jumping into it? How easy was it for you to just take off with it?
It's incredibly easy. I came from WoW. It feels very similar to WoW. You have your action bars, you have your skill keys, you can bind things the way you want. They don't have macros yet, which is sort of one of the larger, well, not complaints, but one of the larger issues that's been brought up. And that's not such a big thing yet because nobody's into raiding. Nobody's, needing those instant hotkeyed, macros that you might see in high-end raids that are, in WoW nowadays. But it's so easy to get into, and the way they do things and the classes are, familiar to people. The companions are fun to play with. The professions, which we didn't get into, the professions are a breeze, the way that they have those set up. So it's really a blast to get into.
And did you have anything final that you wanted to add to that before we move on to Sunkiss there?
No, not really. I mean, it's a single-player RPG in an MMO. Unfortunately, it's not really required to party up ever with people. You can, but most of the party areas are optional. They don't coincide with your full story, which is a bit of a shame. But there are a few that are really good and that really take the cake as far as partying areas go.
As Denson just added from the chat right here, he just pointed out that if you do go do these side quests, these group instance type areas, and even the open world grouping areas, there is a lot of lore to be had and that kind of stuff. So it's definitely worth checking that out as well. Sunkist, are you back with us, or did
Yes,
someone
I
come and
am.
rob all your stuff? All right, man. What are your opinions on the game?
Storytelling is brilliant. There's no, real flaw with it. How far you want to get into it is your own, idea, but you will have the story-based quest to know what you're doing.
That's a
As
very
far
good
as
point, actually.
gameplay, from somebody who didn't play WoW, it's easy to get into for regular point and click. You can even use just your mouse keys or just your mouse to even play the game. So, as far as controls, very used to it. There's a flaw with, I think, the interface where you can't like move, exactly where you want things. So sometimes your quest log would get into the way of your, some things on the right side of your screen if you have them set up there, or maybe even a party getting, in the way on the left side. But as far as that, it's very clean cut, and the graphics are beautiful, and they're also toned down enough so that people with, lower-end computers or laptops won't completely overheat. Or, some do, but they're just too old. It's the way technology works.
Yeah.
But I mean, so story, gameplay, both excellently done. Graphics are done beautiful, and it's probably like the best. It's the best MMO I've ever played to date. And I've played, at least 10 MMOs.
So pretty high praise yet again. Did you have something there that you wanted to add, Denson?
No, I can't remember anything that I wanted to add.
Oh, okay, fair enough. All right, Terranian Wolf.
Hey.
What
Oh,
was it
mascot.
you had to say about this so far wonderful piece of gaming that we're playing around with today?
Well, honestly, I'm gonna do this somewhat from like a kid, teenager's perspective, because that's who I am with my personality clashing. So I'm gonna do it from that sort of perspective, kind of contrary to everyone else's. I'm still giving this a ton of praise, story-wise. A lot of people will love it. They've told the story beautifully, a lot of description, and like I said when Cash was talking, like there's sorry, yeah, my brother's in the
Some
background.
motherly interference there.
Yeah, sorry. But like the choices you make, you always have to think about like what if I did this, what would be different, and you always start thinking about it. So yeah, I have to give it a high praise, and I'm just because I can beat everyone else, I'm gonna give it a 9.6 in story. Because I can.
Screw you! Just for that, the bus is coming your way today.
Yeah. First impressions and all that immersiveness, I think people would can easily. It's a pretty awesome looking game. A lot of people can easily get into it. I'm also dipping into ease of access also. My brother. Anyway, and it's like a lot of people can easily get into it. There are some things which, if any kids or anything want to get into, there's some things where, please, kids, do not pick these certain options. But other than that, it's an easy game to get access to. I played WoW and I could easily get into it. I loved WoW, but WoW also, the story wasn't that good, and getting into this just was really easy. So this is like really high praise. I'm loving this game so far, and I can't wait to continue.
Well, again, so it's pretty much high praise all the way down the list, and I'll go ahead and do me here real quick, and then we'll try and get back
Please
to.
do.
You would want to watch that, you sick puppy. Well, then we'll get to Alondra's comment afterwards. There, he typed it all up for us. For ease of access, really, Star Wars: The Old Republic. You can walk into it, you can play it. If you've ever played any MMO that functioned with bindable hotkeys or even just hotbars in general, you can get in and play it. You don't have to learn to walk. You can go straight into a run. One downside that I have to bring to this that would keep me from giving it a higher score is you cannot resize the UI and you cannot customize it beyond adding a few extra bars. Let us move the bars. Let us arrange the bars. Let us resize the interface. Some people play on huge monitors. They would like to see bigger buttons.
Right here.
Okay, so you're one of them.
Yeah. Kinda. Amongst
I'd
others in
like
here
to-
that I know of.
I think that's something else that we can go into in another time. Is stuff we'd like to see
Absolutely. I
modified,
don't want to go
ups
off on a
and
tangent
downs.
here.
Let's just start wrapping stuff up. Let's get Alandra's thing in.
Yep.
Valak, do you want to do the honors there?
Actually, I was going to pass it off to you there, Anlashuk, and go ahead and let you and Denson handle it out for the rest of the evening.
Well, don't forget,
Okay.
we still got Alandra to go, so let's read that up first. Since I absolutely suck at reading stuff out loud, I'm gonna give the honors to
May I ask if Blaine reads it because he has the sexiest voice of us all?
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Go
guys.
Blaine.
Go ahead.
Fine.
That was loud.
If you want me to, yeah, I'll do it right now.
Ow.
Let me find it. Right, I
Just
found it.
a-
Am I reading the entire thing, or do you want me to?
Yeah,
paraphrase
the
it?
entire
Go
read
ahead,
the entire
anything.
thing. It's pretty short.
Bloody hell! All right,
Don't
Well-
have to do it.
well, basically, what Alandra's said here is that for immersiveness, he has put that they did a good job making sure you knew that you were independent for bounty hunters, that you're not, not just Empire, which I agree with, and you work for who paid the best, and you didn't. And he also said here that you didn't have to take, you didn't have to take jobs you didn't want to do, regardless of who gave them. Which, I agree with. Immersiveness is important when it comes to bounty hunters, because if you just do whatever you're told, you're not a bounty hunter, are you? And then he's put for ease of access, he's put, it's not hard to play bounty hunter skill-wise, they give you enough time to learn the ability that they give them, as well as having enemies who work well against an ability you just received to the lower levels, and then 1 to 10. And in the storytelling, he said, he knows that, I know we aren't discussing post-Hutter at the moment, but it is worth saying at least that your reasons for going to other planets, why you have to do things you do there, are logical and reasonable. Which, makes sense. I mean, you don't want to go to planets for no reason. So, in Hutter, he's put, they set up the first chapter very nicely by giving you Mako, Tarot Blood, and the Great Hunt of the Whole, which sets you off on your story, pretty much. You have a person to hate with a passion, someone to help you find them and to point you along the way, and a means to prove you are better than Tarot. Pretty much what he's put.
Alright.
Nice put.
Okay.
Thank you very much there, Blaine.
I would like to point out that Alandra does not like the 1 to 10 rating system and refrained from using it. He just wanted his thoughts recorded out there, and thank you, Blaine, for reading those.
Of course. Oh, and about the rating system 1 to 10, I know a lot of people hate it, but we're just going off on a, random, quickest thing we can come up with for, rating.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just wanted something tangible to go along with the words that were coming out of our mouths.
Yeah, this was
Yeah,
actually just
so-
this was made up on the fly, and we didn't really, we didn't do any preparation and stuff like that.
And
Can you
speaking
tell?
of not being, and
Yeah, we
speaking
did.
of not being prepared, I think it's about time we got the hell out of here and let these people get back to their lives.
Yeah.
Yep.
So
Well,
take it away, Enla and Denson.
Or more accurately, I want to go back to leveling my Imperial Agent. So, Denson, you want to wrap up for us?
Yeah, sure, why not? So, guys, I hope you enjoyed the very, very, very first podcast or videocast or whatever it's gonna be of the. Now I'm gonna have to find the name again. I completely forgot the name. It's terrible.
Wow.
UGC.
UGC.
And if you wanted
UGC
any more
podcast.
proof that we're doing this off the seat of our pants,
There you
There
go.
you go. Yep, and we actually just we thought up the name just like minutes prior to actually starting this. So there you have it. That's some insider knowledge for you guys. Anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you tune in again next time. Hope to be doing this for quite a long time because this is too much fun, and there's so much to be said about just anything. So
I can get more
And I wanted to add the Republic are pansies.
yes, if there
even though
was,
we are definitely Republic side right now.
yes, and if we may sum up with my final thought, which is go Sith.
Go see.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Go Sith.
I'm getting another
Go
section.
Electricity in
Revenant.
your face.
All right, guys. There we go.